Walker County. We also have Brian Henry covering West Alabama and Reggie Kyle in East Alabama on your side to keep you weather aware. You can feel the change in temperatures. Forecasters say it's going to dip below freezing, and our first alert weather team declaring today a first alert weather day for dangerous winter conditions. Take a look at this snow here. This is part of northern Alabama that you can see. We're going to check in with Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt for a timing of this weather system. So Wes, tell us what you're seeing now.
Yeah, that's right, Claire. We have a winter storm warning for those northern counties. Winter weather advisory to the south. We've seen a lot of snow across North Alabama. I just want to stress here for our area, we're not expecting a lot of snow. In fact, you may look outside. It may look like it's just rained all night, but there's going to be some icy, patchy concerns on the roadways. That is the main impact here. Hazardous travel tonight, and we just encourage everyone to stay off the roads tonight once this precipitation moves south into our area. There is going to be some icy travel concerns. Let's get into it, show you what we're tracking at the moment. And a lot of snow across northwest Alabama, places where we've seen some of those higher snowfall rates. Tuscumbia, Florence, areas there north of Hamilton and around Hackleburg. You can see that snow falling there further south. It's more of a mixture of freezing rain and sleet that's starting to fall. We saw a little bit of that sleet in Jasper earlier. I noticed it on our Sky Vision camera. A little bit of a break now, but there's still a lot more of this moisture that's going to overrun this cooler air throughout the night. And the freezing line is dropping southward at the moment. I just want to show you the potential here for some of these ice accretions across the area. You can see there through 7 o'clock tomorrow morning showing over 2/10 of an inch of ice freezing rain accumulation around Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Pell City, and Anniston. So all modes of wintry precipitation impacting the state of Alabama with this event. But for us, it's mostly going to be freezing rain, and certainly enough freezing rain to cause travel impacts. So we're concerned about tonight and through tomorrow morning. And, you know, interestingly, the models have been pinpointing this for 10 days. I mean, it's been saying mixed precipitation, and it certainly looks like that is not going to change at this point. So that possibility is going to be there through tonight. And this does include as far south as Clanton, Rockford, Alexander City. Now, areas south, the precipitation may not be as heavy, but there still could be a couple of icy overpasses and bridges, and that's what we got to watch out for, especially late tonight as those temperatures take the tumble down into the 20s. Black ice will be out there early tomorrow morning in several areas. The winter weather advisories actually are expanded as far south as down into far south Alabama. You may be wondering why we don't have a ice storm warning. We're not expecting that level of ice accumulation. We're not expecting the enough ice to weigh down the trees and the power lines tonight, but there will be some gusty winds. There will be some light glazing, and especially to the north where we do end up with some additional snow and sleet accumulations. There could be a couple of random outages tonight. Certainly can't rule that out. So plan for that possibility. Certainly a concern going into a period of extremely cold weather here across west central and east Alabama. So again, a lot of this falling right now around Lamar and into Marion County, starting to see around Coleman some freezing rain happening. I've been watching our first alert Sky Vision there and seeing those light precipitation happening. It's just been incredible today to see this temperature contrast across the state of Alabama. Look at Rockford, 59, 63 right now at Alexander City, but here in Haleyville and Hamilton, it's 21 degrees right now. And I know it's been quite a tricky day because you look outside, you got some sunshine, and you're saying, well, it's 50 degrees. What wintry precipitation? But the temperature, it's dropping. It's starting to fall. We're down to 41 at Birmingham, 45 in Gadsden, and by midnight, that freezing line will cross the entire area on this first alert weather day. When to expect the wintry weather? Well, for the heart of the area, here in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, around Pell City, Anniston areas, 6 p.m. to about 2 o'clock in the mornings when the precipitation falls, but we'll have those lingering impacts through about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning at least, and possibly on into mid to late morning, because temperatures tomorrow will stay below freezing. Now, will every road just be completely iced over? No, but there's going to be some travel trouble spots out there for tonight in parts of the area. Midnight to 6 a.m. for those far southern communities like Clanton, Jemison. We get into Alexander City, Ashland, even Clay County we're included. Southern Hale County there as well. So avoid travel late tonight and early tomorrow for that threat of ice. And here's a look at the road temperatures. And I just want to show you by 10 o'clock tonight. You can see those road temperatures right there at or below freezing from Utah to Tuscaloosa to Birmingham. Again, that's the point. You certainly want to be off those roadways for those central and southern areas. But a lot to track. We're going to take a look at our sky vision, show you some of the snow across the state as we continue right here on this First Alert Weather Day.
All right, thank you, Wes. Well, right now, Governor Kay Ivey has declared a state of emergency for 25 counties across the state. This includes, of course, Coleman, Calhoun, Pickens, St. Clair, Jefferson, and Tuscaloosa counties. The governor saying, quote, "We are anticipating unusually cold temperatures in Alabama this week, so I am urging everyone to be prepared, take caution traveling, and stay weather aware." And our friends in North Alabama hit hard by snow, sleet, and freezing rain. A winter storm warning is in effect for all of North Alabama. This was the scene in Florence today. The snow is beautiful, but that wintry mix caused some issues on the roads this morning. Several bridges and roads were closed in Colbert and Jackson counties. And this is video from Harvest in Madison County. Several roads in that area are too icy to drive on, some even impassable. Warming centers are open across North Alabama. Well, one county that's under a winter weather advisory is Coleman County, where leaders are bracing for a potential wintry mix. So let's go now to our Tristan Rupert, who joins us live. So Tristan, tell us what you're seeing there up in Coleman.
Claire, the conditions have only really gotten worse over the last 3 to 4 hours. When we arrived, when we got out the car, it was still somewhat bearable. Here, the conditions have definitely deteriorated some. The temperatures have dropped a few degrees. I can definitely feel it, in particular on my ears right now. I'm probably going to put a hat on for this next live shot, but take a look for yourself. The wind also playing a factor right now. We're just off 31. You got the flag just in front of the Buick GMC dealership. It's blowing pretty hard right now. Rain starting to fall a little bit more here. And really what we're seeing is the roads get just a little bit slicker. That's what law enforcement and EMA directors are going to be looking out for over the next few hours. In particular, in the northwest portions of the county, there's a few more roads. Don't get as much sunshine, so they stay a little bit cooler. And of course, odds are going to collect a little bit more water. And what they're worried about is those roads freezing over, causing dangerous conditions for those out on the road. So again, they're asking you stay indoors. You really try and avoid going out and traveling if you can do so. And we also spoke with school leaders. They made the decision to cancel school. I spoke with Superintendent Shane Barnett earlier. He stressed in his eyes, it's always better to be safe than sorry.
You want to be sure you've got some blankets and maybe some gloves, some things to stay warm that you might need should you get stranded on the side of the road. That's one of the worst things, if you've ever had that feeling, to get stranded and not have anything warm in the vehicle with you.
So a little bit of a technical snafu, but again, that's also some good advice. If you do by chance go out on the roads there, you need to make sure you have blankets and need to make sure you have an emergency kit of sorts. That way you have anything you need if you do perhaps break down, if you have to stay in your car for an extended period of time. So again, blankets, gloves, anything to stay warm, some tools if you need to make some repairs. And as far as the superintendent for Coleman County Schools, we'll hear from him later in the evening newscast. Reporting in Coleman, Tristan Rupert, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
Tristan, thank you. You bundle up as well and stay safe out there. You know, we're also tracking conditions in the Jasper area, keeping you safe in Walker County. Our Ajane Robinson joins us live from Jasper, where it's still kind of peaceful out there. But Ajane, what are Jasper city leaders telling you?
Well, Claire, they're definitely telling me that it's been calm here in Jasper for quite some time now. We had some slight rain earlier today, but I will tell you, driving from Birmingham into Jasper today, you can definitely tell that the temperature is starting to drop. It's getting cooler here. I'm going to be just like Tristan, throwing on that beanie here in just a moment to cover up my ears as it gets colder today. But you know, Claire, the one thing I will tell you that I've noticed here in Jasper are the residents. They're taking this possible severe weather threat very seriously. A lot of cars, I haven't seen a lot of cars here on the roadway since we've gotten to Jasper today, and I've seen several businesses throughout the day close early just to prepare for that possible threat. Now, I spoke here in downtown Jasper. I spoke to one of those businesses, Young Jewelers, and that business owner, Debbie Sanders, she tells me that they're always trying to stay prepared and informed when it comes to severe weather. She says that her top priority is making sure her staff and customers are safe, and she does this by keeping up with weather alerts and reaching out to local law enforcement.
We communicate with our staff all the time, and we communicate with the authorities, and a lot of times we listen to what the school systems are doing. That's a pretty big cue for what we need to do.
Now, Sanders says as for tomorrow, they'll plan to play it by ear and keep monitoring the weather to see if they will end up opening later on tomorrow or if they'll continue to stay closed to get through this severe weather threat. Now, of course, coming up, we'll have more from county leaders on how they've just been preparing all day in terms of putting salt on the ground and things of that nature to help folks who must drive safely down these roads here in Jasper. So I'll have more coming up a little bit later from those county leaders. But for now, in Jasper, Ajane Robinson, WBRC, Fox 6 News.
Looking forward to that report, Ajane. Thank you, and great work today. Now, you hear our meteorologists talk about this all the time. During hard freezes, you want to protect your pipes. Carrie Adkins with On Time Service says the best thing you can do is buy that pre-made insulation at a home improvement store, and it'll pop right on your pipes. Now, if you don't have that available, you can use anything like a towel or a blanket and wrap it around exposed pipes. You can even use duct tape to secure it.
You know, the other thing that they really should do is if they've got pipes in a crawl space, particularly, is make sure that the crawl space door is not open, you know, so that there's a lot of airflow through there. You know, you could close up the openings in the crawl space. You don't want to do it permanently, but you could certainly cover them up for the next few days and be okay.
He also says if you have pipes in your attic, you'll want to make sure that you put a layer of insulation or a blanket over those to protect them as well. Coming up on the 4, we'll have a really important tip. If you have an energy efficient furnace, we'll tell you what to do to make sure your furnace doesn't shut off unexpectedly during this cold blast. Now, the Alabama Department of Transportation is getting ahead of this winter weather system by preparing some of the roads you drive on. It pre-treated roads and bridges before the weather worsened into some really bad driving conditions. This is actually a look at Highway 216 in Tuscaloosa and Tuscaloosa County when it was being treated by road crews. A department spokesperson says weather could have an effect on roads from now until Tuesday morning. AlDOT also says crews are on standby after the pre-treatment to address any roadway needs that could happen during this winter weather event. And of course, with temperatures drastically dropping across our area, first responders want to make sure you're heating your home safely. Let's go to that part of the story with Brian Henry. So Brian, what's the key thing to remember?
Well, Claire, veteran firefighters throughout the state, but especially this part of Alabama, say the main thing is common sense. That is the one thing you want to keep in mind as we begin today with the cold weather going in tomorrow. We're all cold, we all want to be warm, but we have to be smart about it. Keep space heaters at a safe distance away from your bed or your couch, and be mindful of the extension cords you have because some of them may not be properly designed to provide that power for space heaters. One national study shows that half of home heat-related fires occurred during the months of December, January, and February.
Well, the main thing is just use good common sense. You know, that's the main thing. Of course, you know, we've all heard before, you know, to keep things 3 feet or more, you know, away from a heater, and that certainly applies. You know, use a direct outlet. You know, don't use an extension cord because most of those are not ready for the load that a heater, especially a space heater, is going to draw. So just good common sense.
Booty Cox says that now would be a very good time to check your smoke alarms and especially their batteries. And Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
All right, thank you, Brian. Well, ahead of potentially dangerous road conditions, a number of schools have already closed for tomorrow. Here's a partial list of schools that will be closed tomorrow: Alabaster City, Jefferson County, Birmingham City, Hoover City, and Midville City schools, all announcing they will be closed tomorrow. For a full list of school closings and delays, you can find this story on our WBRC News app. We're going to take a quick break. We'll have more weather and more news coverage coming up right after this.
It's a First Alert Weather Day. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt, we're certainly keeping you well informed. I know for a lot of us through most of the day, we haven't seen much. In fact, a little bit of sunshine, some warmer temperatures, but the freezing line, it's now moving south. And throughout this evening, we're going to see an axis of basically a wintry mix of freezing rain and sleet that's going to be moving southward here through 7 o'clock. That's when we're going to start to see some of that frozen precipitation moving into parts of Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Jefferson, Blount, St. Clair, Etowah, and also into Cherokee counties by 7 o'clock. And then that's going to move further south. You can see by 9 o'clock, it looks like an axis of overrunning moisture and freezing rain. Now, again, this will be falling as rain, but it's going to freeze on contact. So you look outside, you won't necessarily see, the ground covered in snow, maybe a little bit of sleet accumulation. But the big story is you'll start to see that glaze of ice on car tops, mailboxes. You'll have to watch patios and steps out there tonight. They could become quite slippery, but also those bridges and overpasses. We could see some travel trouble out there later tonight, and I would avoid travel later tonight as this starts, as we're going to have icy weather conditions out there, most likely around those bridges and overpasses. By 10 o'clock tonight, you can see the freezing rain moves as far south as Centerville, parts of Alabaster, and still by 10 o'clock, we're seeing even for areas to the north, some scattered patchy areas of freezing drizzle, freezing rain still left over. So some impacts out there tonight as temperatures drop below freezing. The other big story, a hard freeze warning for our area. We'll talk more about just how cold those temperatures are going to get coming up on the 4 o'clock news.
Thank you, Wes. Well, right now, warming stations are open across the state. EMA services in St. Clair County are ready for the frigid weather with warming stations. With temperatures dropping, EMA officials want you to take every precaution possible.
Make sure you're weather aware and making sure that you have two sources of alerts, either our alert or like a news station or like Fox 6 has their alert. So make sure that you have two sources of alerts. We have weather radios here if somebody needs to come by and pick up a weather radio. Monday's a holiday and the courthouses they're normally closed, but they'll be open for warming stations.
And starting tonight, the city of Birmingham is opening a 24-hour warming station at the BJCC's East Ballroom. It starts at 6 p.m. and closes Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Well, another thing you can do to protect your pipes during these freezing temperatures is let your faucets drip. You've often heard people say that you need to make sure that they drip so they don't freeze, especially if they're exposed. But does this actually work? Carrie Atkins with On Time Service says yes, but it depends.
It depends, okay, on how cold it gets and how long it stays cold. Typically, we're not going to see problems until it gets into the teens and stays that way for a day or so, where it doesn't get above freezing at all.
And Atkins says another easy way to protect your home and pipes is to make sure the door to your crawl space is closed. And if you do have to be out on the roads during this winter weather, we are on your side with supplies you need for your roadside emergency supply kit. The National Weather Service says you need to keep your mobile phone fully charged because it can become your lifeline in case of a disaster. Of course, make sure you have a blanket, a flashlight, jumper cables, water and snacks, mittens, and warm clothes as well. For a full list of other items to keep in your car, just go to this story on our WBRC News app. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the 4 right after this.
Hey, yes, we have declared today and tomorrow First Alert Weather Day for everything that's happening in this life that we live right now. Okay. I can hear you, yes.
You hear me? Oh, I'm trying to get in place here. Okay, there goes the remote and all the buttons popped off. That's okay.
I got you, man.
Yes, I've got you.
Live and on your side, WBRC Fox 6 News starts with First Alert Weather.
And Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt, it's a First Alert Weather Day. We're tracking freezing rain, some wintry precipitation out there, what you can expect coming up in First Alert Weather.
And we have team coverage across our area, making sure you stay safe during these potentially dangerous weather conditions. Tristan Rupert is in Coleman County. Ajay Robinson joins us from Walker County. We have Brian Henry covering West Alabama, and Reggie Kyle is in East Alabama, all on your side to keep you weather aware.
Our team is out there feeling the changes in the temperature, forecast to dip below freezing. Our First Alert Weather team declaring today a First Alert Weather Day for dangerous winter conditions that will impact you throughout the week. Now let's go straight to our Chief Meteorologist Wes White for the timing of this weather system.
Yeah, a lot of this, Morgan and Sarah, we've been talking a lot about a wintry mix is going to start moving in here after 6 o'clock across the heart of the area. But I just want to show you the temperature, 62 at Alexander City. I know for a lot of us it's felt far from the type of day for wintry precipitation, but to the north, look at Hamilton, 22, 21 in Haleyville, it's 25 in Coleman. And I just want to stress, we checked in with Tristan a few moments ago, and it was kind of slushy there around the Coleman area with some of that precipitation has fallen, and we need to be alert for icy bridges and overpasses. Those trouble spots are going to start developing there very quickly, almost like flash freeze here across those northern areas. Parts of Marion County, we're seeing now more of a wintry mix, and when you go above the surface, there's quite a what we call a warm nose in the atmosphere. A lot of this is falling as rain, but then right there at the ground level, we have temperatures in the sub-freezing range, so the precipitation falls as rain and then it freezes on contact. So we're having more freezing rain now starting to happen in parts of Lamar, Fayette, and now into Walker counties. But those primary impacts, it looks like our timing is right on track here. We're seeing this now starting to slide a bit further south into parts of Coleman, Walker, Fayette, and Lamar counties. And I want to stress here, this is light precipitation, so we're not seeing enough moisture to leave us in an ice storm threat type of situation, but there could be enough ice accumulation again for several bridges and overpasses to freeze over tonight. So we've got to be concerned about that and avoid travel later on tonight. And especially, I mentioned closer to Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, back to Anniston. It looks like after 6 o'clock tonight through the early morning hours, and then you can see midnight through 6 a.m. for those areas to the far southeast. So nobody's immune from that risk of icy bridges and overpasses. That threat will be there further south through tomorrow morning. So I would avoid travel. Again, tomorrow morning we'll be kicking it off bright and early with updates on road conditions, and hopefully we don't have too many problems, but areas to the north especially. This is the view from Huntsville. You can see that's where all the snowy weather is happening right now. We're seeing snow accumulations. Look at that temperature there, 19. Here's a live look from Hamilton where it's 22 degrees. This is at the Marion County EMA, and you can see already some accumulations here, a lot of sleet mixed in that we've been dealing with here across Marion County. As we go further south on our First Alert Sky Vision, I notice some very light sleet falling in Vernon, but it's hard to see here, but we do have some light drizzle, some light rain that's falling, and again, that may form into a glaze here across parts of Lamar County. Still looking pretty good around the Jasper area, but we have had some light precipitation, so parts of Walker County certainly be alert for that risk of icy bridges and overpasses. And again, Coleman, look at that temperature, 25 degrees there, seeing those sub-freezing conditions. So as the road temperatures continue to fall, you can see the road temperature by 10 o'clock showing 19 around Hamilton, 21 there, Winston County. We're going to start to see more widespread travel problems here very rapidly throughout the evening. Freezing temperatures at the road surface for Tuscaloosa to Utah, Bessemer, Birmingham, Irondale, Aniana by the time we get to 10 o'clock tonight. And that's when we're also going to see more of that frozen precipitation moving south across our area. And then you can see that freezing line will make it by midnight down to Alabaster. Looks like down into the Clanton area there, showing around 29 degrees, 32 there at Center. So everybody by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, especially the road temperatures, you can see will be at or below freezing. We actually stay below freezing throughout the day tomorrow. So temperatures will only top out in the 20s. Expect low temperatures tomorrow night to tumble as low as 10 degrees. So we also have a hard freeze. That's the other component to this, and wind chills in the single digits. So a wintry blast here to kick off the week. That first alert weather day will continue through our Tuesday. Again, if you're northwest, be alert for the possibility of icy bridges and overpasses developing here over the next few hours as these temperatures continue to fall. I'll be back. We're going to also check out our 7-day forecast. Looks like some more frigid air on the way later this week. We'll show you that coming up in First Alert Weather.
Now, Governor Kay Ivey has declared a state of emergency for 25 counties across the state. This includes, of course, Coleman County, Calhoun County, Pickens County, St. Clair, Jefferson, and Tuscaloosa counties. The governor saying, quote, "We are anticipating unusually cold temperatures in Alabama this week, so I am urging everyone to be prepared, take caution traveling, and stay weather aware." That's why we call it a First Alert Weather Day.
Our friends in North Alabama seeing snow, sleet, and freezing rain. A winter storm warning is in effect for all of North Alabama. And check out the scene in Florence today. The snow is really beautiful there, but that wintry mix causing some issues on the roads this morning. Several bridges were closed in Colbert and Jackson counties. This video you see here is from Harvest and Madison County. How beautiful is this? Several roads in the area too icy to drive, though. You can see with all this snow making them impassable. Warming centers are open across North Alabama.
Coleman County is one of the areas, of course, under that winter weather advisory where leaders are bracing for a potential wintry mix.
And that is where we find our Tristan Rupert, who joins us now live, telling us what the conditions are like now. Tristan.
They're getting pretty cold, Morgan. That's the bottom line. It's not pleasant. You shouldn't be out here if you can avoid it. I wish I could. It's rainy. It's wet. Again, rain right now off and on. The concern for most of the leaders in Coleman County isn't the perhaps chance of snow or a wintry mix or slush of any kind. It's just the fact that with these temperatures continuing to drop, we could see some of these roads freeze over. And of course, bridges are some of the first roads we really see problems with because they don't have that ground insulation. But again, right now we are getting a little bit more of a slushy or a watery mix onto the ground right now, of course, making it dangerous for drivers. Again, if you can stay inside your home or stay indoors, that's really what we're advising you. I spoke with the EMA director, Tim Sertain, earlier. He said they're already seeing some slick spots in the northern portions of the county, but the county's handling this a little bit better than some of our neighbors at the moment. Still not out of the woods yet. They're going to be closely monitoring this system and seeing what the temperatures are going to do over the next few hours. I also spoke with some school leaders in the area. Dr. Shane Barnett, for example, he stresses for him in the decision to close schools, it's always better to be safe than sorry.
We can save that math lesson for another day, but if we have a child or an employee or a parent or anybody that gets hurt, I just couldn't forgive myself.
And that's exactly why they close schools tomorrow. I asked Dr. Barnett if any decisions could be made about perhaps Wednesday. He says they're going to keep their eyes on this very, very closely. He says this is not something they just decide a day or two before. He said they've been getting these alerts. They've been watching weather systems and weather alerts for about 10 to 15 days now. As soon as we know more about perhaps school closures, and of course we're going to keep you updated on the road conditions here in Coleman County over the next few hours. We'll update you. Until then, reporting in Coleman County, Tristan Rupert, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
We're also tracking conditions in the Jasper area, keeping you safe in Walker County.
That's where our Anjanae Robinson joins us now live. Anjanae, what can you tell us about the conditions there?
Well, Sarah Morgan, the one thing I can tell you that it's pretty calm here in Jasper right now. So far, we've experienced some light rain, but nothing too severe. Now, since I've been here in Jasper, something that I've really noticed is that there are no cars out on the road today. It shows that people are really taking things seriously here. I moved locations just to show you how really empty these roads are. So that's definitely a good sign for folks. I'm hoping they're home and safe and that they're not out here driving in what we expect to be some severe conditions later on today. Now, in addition to no one being out on the roads, I also spoke to several businesses who decided to close their doors a little bit early today, one of them being Young Jewelers, who closed around 2 p.m. The owner telling me before she closed early, she always tries to stay informed when it comes to severe weather. She says her top priority is making sure her staff and customers are safe, and she does this by keeping up with weather alerts and reaching out to her local law enforcement.
We communicate with our staff all the time, and we communicate with the authorities, and a lot of times we listen to what the school systems are doing. That's a pretty big cue for what we need to do.
Now, Sanders tells me as for tomorrow, they'll plan to play it by ear and continue to monitor those weather conditions. Now, coming up in the next half hour, I'll have more information from the county 911 director on how the county has been prepping, laying down salt and things of that nature to make sure if folks do have to drive today, they are doing it safely. In Jasper for now, Anjanae Robinson, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
The Alabama Department of Transportation getting ahead of this winter weather system. Get a look here. Those crews started preparing some of the roads you drive on. Workers were pre-treating the roads and bridges before driving conditions deteriorate. This is a look at Highway 216 in Tuscaloosa and Tuscaloosa County, where crews were out treating the roadways. An LDOT spokesperson says weather could impact roads from now until Tuesday morning. LDOT has also crews on standby to address any potential hazards on the roads during this winter weather event. Wes.
All right, Sarah, you know, we don't see this often. You know, a lot of times you see all these winter weather advisories. You may be thinking we're going to wake up, we're going to see snow tomorrow morning, and that's not going to be the case for a lot of areas. It's going to, in a lot of situations, look like it rained overnight, but then you get out there, you've got ice on the bridges and the overpasses, and that is a very dangerous recipe out there. So if you can avoid travel tonight, early tomorrow morning, temperatures, I mean, we're not talking temperatures around 32 degrees overnight. We're going to see those temperatures after midnight dropping into the low 20s across our area, and we're going to stay there throughout the day tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow night, lows could be as cold as 10 degrees across parts of our area. Single-digit wind chill, some frigid air moving into the state. As we look at the maps here, I just want to show you where the winter storm warning is located. That includes Coleman, Winston, Marion counties through 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. What do we expect in these areas? 1 to 2 inches of sleet, snow accumulations, maybe a quarter inch of freezing rain accumulations in those areas for the remainder of the evening. And then further south, we have the winter weather advisory, and that's where we could see up to 2/10 of an inch of freezing rain accumulation, maybe some light sleet accumulations in some areas. But the big story will be that concern for icy travel there late tonight and tomorrow morning. But we've got some slushy weather happening right now to the northwest, kind of a mixed bag of precipitation, and just all this, once these temperatures just keep on falling tonight, you get fewer vehicles out there on the roadways. There's going to be more trouble spots that will develop and sort of flash freeze later on tonight. Just looking at the radar right now, most of what we're starting to see is that precip moving south into Lamar, Fayette, parts of Walker County. But you can see as that presses further southward, there's 7 o'clock, moving into Tuscaloosa, parts of Pickens, Jefferson counties, parts of St. Clair County, Gadsden Center, and then we start to see the precipitation by 10 o'clock sliding into parts of Bibb, Shelby, and Talladega counties. Now, this is light precipitation. It may even be freezing drizzle at times. This is not a major ice storm where we're going to see trees toppled everywhere, large limbs breaking off, but it is enough to cause the road issues and the travel issues that may actually be around through about 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, just depending on where you are and how much of that precipitation falls. But even as far south as Ashland, Rockford, Clanton, our entire area, there is a concern for some of those icy bridges and overpasses, and be extra cautious and try to avoid travel. Look at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, showing temperature at 10 degrees at Hamilton, 11 degrees with wind chills that may actually go below zero for parts of our area. Just an incredible drop in temperatures within 24 hours. We're tracking it right here. Also, meteorologist Lauren Linehan on standby. And Lauren, you were taking a closer look at those road temperatures, which will also fall quickly tonight.
Yeah, Wes, right now, honestly, it can be really deceiving if you're outside. We were just talking about that crazy temperature contrast between Hamilton and Alexander City, about 60 degrees, but that cold front is coming. And as it comes, eventually those road temperatures are going to be catching up. So let's watch into tonight. Already by 10 o'clock, areas along and northwest of I-2059 are going to see freezing road temperatures. So even a little bit of precipitation, even a little bit of freezing rain, as soon as it hits the surface, freezes on contact, that road is glazed over. You don't want to be driving on it, especially with our southern cars that we're equipped with. So as we go into tomorrow morning, temperatures are just going to continue to fall. That is why we are stressing to avoid travel really right after sunset tonight. Go ahead and get where you need to be and avoid travel early tomorrow morning. Now we'll thaw out. We'll see those road temperatures improve for tomorrow afternoon. They should get above freezing. So any glaze, any slick spots should have improved by the afternoon, but it's really this 12-hour window from 6 o'clock tonight, really a little bit more than that, let's say through about 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, that you don't want to be out on the roads. We keep talking about freezing rain, but it's not like we're about to be pelted with ice coming down out of the sky. That would be more so sleet. But what exactly is freezing rain? Well, as we look at the entire temperature profile of the atmosphere, which is what we have to do when it comes to winter weather forecasting, you'll notice there are going to be some temperature differences. When you have the cloud, oftentimes the precipitation that comes out of the cloud starts to snow. But the problem is up there, you've got freezing temperatures. However, when there's freezing rain, there's a noticeable warm layer in the atmosphere, and that's what we're dealing with today. So any snow that comes out of the cloud melts completely. The problem is, as that rain falls, it hits the surface. At the surface, that's where there is a shallow, cold layer. So you've got that freezing layer right at the surface, and so anything that falls as rain freezes on contact. So you may look outside and be like, oh, it's raining. The problem is when that rain hits the road, it becomes icy and makes for some travel trouble. So we'll be talking all about this some more and breaking down the science here on Fox 6.
Those are those scenarios that people are concerned about and trying to anticipate. So none of us wants to be stuck without food if the weather forces things to shut down.
And a lot of people were making that grocery run today. Our West Alabama reporter Brian Henry joins us now live with what he found people going out to get. Brian.
Well, Morgan and Sarah, when word got out late last week that a winter storm was on the way, a Piggly Wiggly here in Tuscaloosa got busy in a hurry. But the good thing, according to store manager Wayne Reed, is they prepared for it and had plenty of milk and bread for customers. Reed said they did not run out over the weekend, and they're in good shape right now. Milk and bread weren't the only items people bought.
Things like beans and chili mix, things like that, increase anytime they say that the weather's going to get cold. I think people are just mostly they've been shopping just to get their grocery shopping out of the way. So if they can't get out,
they were out of school on Friday for the severe weather, so I got some stuff to have at the house, and that's pretty much why we did that. And today we did get milk because we had been eating cereal for a little while, and they told me this morning that we ran out of milk.
And checking the aisles at that Piggly Wiggly on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard, they had plenty of everything, including milk and bread. In Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
From the First Alert Desk, I'm breaking news reporter Oliviana Calmes. We're just monitoring this weather and this inclement weather from all over this region right now, but we're checking online as well, and we're just seeing an update from the city of Tuscaloosa. So if you're in Tuscaloosa, listen up here. Trash and recycling collection is pushed back another day this week, so there won't be any collection until Wednesday. So if it was Monday, it's going to be Wednesday, and so on and so forth. They also tell us that tomorrow, municipal court, revenue permitting, and water and sewer offices will be closed to the public. They do say water bills can be paid on the phone or online. We'll be right back.
Loud and clear, sir.
Etowah County is now under a winter weather advisory.
EMA officials in Gadsden are preparing for all of what that means. Our East Alabama reporter Reggie Kyle is live to give us the very latest. You're laughing now. How cold is it there, Reggie?
Sarah, you can feel temperatures dropping really quickly out here. EMA officials warning this evening to be prepared for anything. EMA official Derek Murmert says to be sure to check on people who are home alone. Make sure they're okay and that they have enough to make it, for example, with non-perishable food items, blankets, flashlights, batteries, and most importantly, water. He says this wintry mix headed this way should not be taken lightly, and to stay updated on weather forecasts, follow safety guidelines, cooperate with local authorities. EMA officials are also on standby to address any issues that may arise during this period.
You know, we've been pushing that information out to our stakeholders and getting everyone prepared for that. You know, the public really needs to realize that, you know, if you don't need to get out, please don't. Stay home, stay off the roads. You know, especially if this system moves in like we expect it to and the roads freeze over, you're not going to be able to see that ice on the ground.
Director Murmur says between 4 and 6 this evening is when you really need to start heading home. That's when precipitation should be moving into the area. With temperatures dropping overnight, be sure to see a wintry mix in the morning. In Etowah County, Reggie Kyle, WBRC Fox 6 News on your side.
All right, Reggie, we'll be watching those conditions there in Etowah County. This is what we really have to watch out for, those bridges and overpasses tonight. They're going to freeze first. You get the residual moisture, the water, as we saw with Tristan a few moments ago. A lot of the parking lots there around Coleman, the ground's just very slushy where we've had the rain, the sleet, and that's going to freeze over tonight. Temperatures will be dropping well below freezing. We're going to have lows dropping down into the 20s, and it looks like even the possibility of some teens to the north. Could be as low as 10 degrees tomorrow morning across places like Marion County, and every bit of moisture is going to freeze here. Hamilton right now, this is in our coverage area, and what it looks like, this is in Marion County, our northwest counties. We're under a winter storm warning. Temperature now is at 22 degrees. We have snow and sleet falling in the area, and also a little bit of freezing rain mixing in on top of that. I mean, we are getting the every mode of winter weather you can think about, including the hard freeze will be coming to Marion, Winston, and Coleman counties here very soon, with those temperatures dropping, staying below freezing here throughout the day tomorrow. So the precipitation is going to stay light, as we can see on the model data, but there's just enough moisture that's going to be moving south. You can see by 7 o'clock, the models actually started showing us higher ice accumulations today. The Weather Service noted that we're seeing now a possibility, instead of a 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation, up to 2/10 of an inch of ice accumulation for west, central, northeast areas. That's still not quite to ice storm levels at this point, and we don't expect you get an ice storm, you know how it is. You have trees that can be toppled, large limbs break off, you have mass power outages. We're not expecting that level of icing across the state. There could be a few random outages. I mean, you just can't rule that out with windy conditions out there tonight and a little bit of a glaze, but it's certainly going to be enough to cause some big time travel disruptions overnight tonight if this precipitation develops, as a model suggests, those are going to be impacts there later on tonight. There's 9 o'clock and looks like a pretty good coverage. You see how the models show almost like another surge of precipitation. It starts to kind of ramp up there, it looks like, by 8 to 9 o'clock across the area. So all this rain just falls, and then we have 18 in Hamilton, 22 in Coleman. All this ice cold air moves in. The wind should help to, remove some moisture, but it's not going to be enough. There's still going to be some icy patches out there through early tomorrow morning, and some of this will drop south of Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Anniston. I've had a lot of folks asking here around Clinton, Rockford, Alexander City. Now, there's going to be a lot of disappointed snow fans tomorrow. I know there's a winter weather advisory for a lot of areas. We're not going to see little, if any, snow from this system. It's all going to fall as rain and just cause some of those patchy areas of ice. And watch the steps, the patios tomorrow morning as that ice develops out there. It's going to be quite slippery to start the day. And look at these temperatures. I mean, let's see, 6 o'clock in the morning, 11 in Coleman, 14 in Jasper. Make sure those faucets are covered tonight. Everything properly winterized. Looks like by 6 a.m. we could be as low as 16 degrees around Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and over towards Anniston as that temperature falls tonight. We're going to stay below freezing tomorrow. Afternoon highs, the peak temperatures to the south only in the 20s for us tomorrow. So we stay below freezing, and then tomorrow night the temperatures take another big tumble. We'll have lows right around 10 degrees for a lot of areas tomorrow night. Single-digit wind chills, and the wind chill tomorrow morning may go below 0 degrees for those areas to the north. So cold weather actions, make sure one of the key messages here, prepare for a hard freeze for tonight and into tomorrow night. Notice we have declared another first alert weather day for sub-freezing temperatures this weekend on Saturday. Look at those lows back into the teens. So we have a lot of cold weather in that forecast. More on what to expect tonight coming up.
Did I see 10 degrees there? Oh my goodness. All right. New on the 4, our first alert weather team is once again emphasizing the 4 Ps in this extreme cold: people, pets, plants, and also don't forget about your pipes.
During hard freezes, you really want to protect your pipes. It can become an expensive problem, as our Claire Huddleston found out. She's live and on your side with some advice on how to protect your pipes, especially those in your furnace, Claire.
Yeah, that's right, Morgan and Sarah. So furnace pipes might not be the first pipes that you think about. I know I've got to admit that I typically think about faucet pipes, but Kerry Adkins with On Time Service says it's important to check your furnace pipes. He says in December 2022, they saw a lot of high efficiency furnaces unexpectedly shut off. And here's what happened.
And so with high efficiency furnaces, they're pulling moisture out of the air all of the time. And so that moisture then needs to drain to the outside. Well, what was happening is it got so cold is the drain going to the outside froze up. And so the furnace could no longer drain to the outside. And then when water backed up in the furnace pan, it shut the furnace down.
Yeah, that's actually kind of scary. Now, Atkins says you may want to check the pipe that goes to the outside pretty frequently. If it is frozen, he says maybe get an ice pick or something and you can chip away at the ice up there so that the water is able to drain again, once again, freely. I'm Claire Huddleston in the newsroom. Let's go back to you in the studio.
All right, Claire, thank you so much. Some good tips. I never thought about checking my
I don't think I've ever heard that about the pipes in the furnace.
All right, we're getting some more videos showing how crews are keeping you safe if you have to be on the roadways. Check out this video on Highway 31 in Homewood from earlier today where you can see the pre-treatment across the roads. AlDOT tells us they've pre-treated roads extensively across Birmingham and they're on standby to treat trouble spots as the system moves into Jefferson County. EMA officials telling us if you do not have to be on the roads, stay off. But if you do, make sure you have a full tank of gas and get ready to drive slow.
Put as many space between you and the car in front of you as possible. Don't brake hard because we are anticipating this to be a freezing rain event. So it's going to fall as rain, but it's going to freeze as soon as it hits the surface and become a very slick, icy surface along the roads.
Well, if you do have to go out on the roads during the winter weather, we're on your side reminding you of the supplies that you really should stock in your roadside emergency supply kit. The National Weather Service says you need to keep your mobile phone fully charged, of course. It can become your lifeline in case of a disaster and an emergency. Of course, make sure to keep a blanket, a flashlight, jumper cables, water, snacks, gloves, or mittens, and warm clothing as well. There is more, and to find that full list, just go right now to our story on the WBRC News app. You're watching the WBRC. This is the 4. We'll be right back.
Live and on your side, WBRC Fox 6 News starts with First Alert Weather.
And welcome back into the 4. We have team coverage for you, making sure you stay safe during these conditions. Our Tristan Rupert is in Coleman County, Ajane Robinson in Walker County. Brian Henry is in West Alabama, and Reggie Kyle has you covered in East Alabama.
They are spread out all over the place. You can feel the temperatures changing out there. Our crew, I saw Tristan putting the hat on now. That's serious. Our temperatures are dipping below freezing. Our First Alert Weather team, of course, declaring today a First Alert Weather Day for dangerous wintry conditions that will impact you throughout the week. So, Wes, you've been giving us a timeline. When are we expecting to see? We're already hearing about crashes on the roadways.
Yeah, we're getting some reports now, Sarah. We're starting to hear about some accidents there in Coleman County. So again, I just can't stress enough. Now through the rest of tonight, if you're in these areas where we're getting this light frozen precipitation, parts of Walker, Lamar, Fayette, Coleman counties, we're starting to see some icing on the roadway. So watch out in those areas there to the north. Right now, a winter storm warning for Marion, Winston, and Coleman counties. And that's where we're going to see the maximum accumulations, 1 to 2 inches of sleet and snow, and then freezing rain on top of that. Could see up to a 1/4 inch of freezing rain. Now, these northern areas where we get more of that accumulation, I know we talk a lot about tomorrow morning, certainly some impacts, but even for those northern areas, whatever's left over is probably going to be around again early on Wednesday, because tomorrow temperatures stay below freezing. So those impacts will be longer lasting for those northern areas. And the same goes for tomorrow morning. If you're thinking about, will the roads be better tomorrow? Delaying my start time for Tuesday. Just note that further north you go, those start times will be further delayed because there's going to be more ice that needs to be removed or melt away to the north if it can. With the sunshine, of course, that's going to help out tomorrow, but the temperatures still stay below freezing. But there is a steady flow of overrunning moisture. And what's interesting here, you get up 2,000–3,000 feet in the atmosphere, temperatures above freezing. So all this moisture falls as rain. There's a big melting layer there. It gets right to the surface, and then it freezes because these surface temperatures are below freezing, and that's what's happening. And just a sprinkling of rain in a lot of areas. We're getting freezing drizzle, freezing rain. So that glaze, you're going to start to notice it on the car tops, on the mailboxes, and any exposed surface. But watch those patios and watch the front doorsteps. If you peek out to see what it's doing tonight, if you're like me, you're looking out the window every 5 minutes to see what the weather's doing. Just be extra careful out there for tonight. But all this precipitation, it's going to be moving south here through 7 o'clock. I think places like Aliceville, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Gaston, Aniana, the impacts start to happen after 6 p.m. as this moves south. And then for the rest of the area, it's going to continue through midnight tonight. And it looks like a steady stream. The models today actually jumped on board with a nice coating of freezing rain here across the area, up to 0.2 of an inch of ice accumulation possible as this moves further south, and then some leftover freezing rain that could also cause some travel icy spots tomorrow morning in areas back to the south. Again, be careful because it's tough to see that black ice and the icy patches from freezing rain, and that's why we're dealing with some problems to the north already, and the temperatures for the overnight will be dropping down into the low teens for areas to the north. This is how much ice we could see accumulating. This looks like an updated number that we have. Tuscaloosa showing just over 0.2 of an inch, so watch out here. You're around Tuscaloosa County, back to Pickens County, even to the south around Greensboro and Demopolis, we could see just under 0.2 of ice accumulation continuing up through Centerville, Shelby County. East Alabama points south here. It looks like lighter totals as this system finally pulls away 3-4 o'clock in the morning, but there's enough. It just does not take much ice. Even if it's a slight glaze, you lose that traction with the road surface, and then you have a problem. So that's the concern out there tonight. And if temperatures weren't as cold, it'd be a different story as well. But when you're talking about low 20s, teens out there, just any moisture that's left over is going to freeze. But look at the temperatures. I mean, we're still showing near 60 in Alexander City. The temperature contrast has just been incredible across Alabama. Low 20s to the far north. Haleyville at 21, 22 degrees for us right now in Hamilton. Birmingham still holding at 40 degrees, 41 in Tuscaloosa. But that cold air, it's going to be on the move this evening. We'll start to see those numbers here over the next couple of hours continue to fall rapidly across the area. We do have some views around the state. We were noticing some of the cameras there at Hamilton. We had some icy weather noticeable, some accumulation there you could see in Marion County. Now until midnight, we're still going to deal with that wintry precipitation. Again, here's the timing. You can see 6 p.m. tonight through 6 a.m. tomorrow morning for the heart of the area. And then by midnight, we'll see that precipitation reaching places like Maplesville, Clanton, Rockford, Sylacauga, Talladega, and Ashland there after midnight tonight through early tomorrow morning. But there's a live look from North Alabama, the Huntsville area. 18 degrees and a beautiful snowy scene there in North Alabama as we've had the precipitation actually has been happening there all day, but you can also see for Hamilton there seeing those accumulations. This is the view from the Marion County EMA. So again, watching those deteriorating road conditions to the north. Stay weather alert. It is a first alert weather day. Keep in mind, once we drop below freezing tonight, we're going to stay there throughout the day tomorrow and tomorrow night. I went with average lows around 10 degrees tomorrow night. Wind chills down into the single digits. But a lot to talk about. We'll have our 7-day forecast. Lauren's coming back. We're watching the traffic and the road conditions out there. We'll have frequent updates right here.
Let's get right to that breaking news out of Coleman County. Aaliyah telling us multi-car crashes are happening right now because of the ice on the roads, and those crashes are now blocking the roads.
All lanes on I-65 near the 310-mile marker are now closed. No word on how long it will be closed. Our Tristan Rupert is headed to the scene right now to give us a live report in just a few minutes about what's going on there.
So right now, Governor Kay Ivey, as we've been telling you, has declared a state of emergency for 25 counties across the state. This includes, of course, Coleman County, where Tristan is, Calhoun, Pickens, St. Clair, Jefferson, and Tuscaloosa counties. The governor saying, quote, "We are anticipating unusually cold temperatures in Alabama this week, so I am urging everyone to be prepared, take caution traveling, and stay weather aware." Ahead of that potential for dangerous roads out there and the conditions, a number of schools have already closed their doors for tomorrow, Tuesday. Here's a list of the schools that have announced they will be closing tomorrow. Alabaster City Schools, Jefferson County, Birmingham City, Hoover City Schools, and Midfield City Schools, all announcing they will be closed tomorrow. We have a full list of the school closings and delays. Just go to this story right now on the WBRC News app.
We're also tracking conditions in the Jasper area, keeping you safe in Walker County.
That's where our Anjanae Robinson is right now. Anjanae, tell me how the conditions are changing there.
Well, Morgan and Sarah, still kind of the same conditions we were experiencing a little bit earlier, but I will say it just started to drizzle a little bit here in Jasper. The one thing I will tell you, it's definitely cold. Temperatures are definitely dropping here in Jasper. It's getting cold, so I'm glad to see that not a lot of folks are on these roads traveling as temperatures start to drop. And that's why I'm here currently at the Jasper Fire and Rescue. City crews have taken precautions and they've laid out a lot of a lot of salt here to help emergency vehicles get in and around the city and county today. I'm going to step out of the way so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. As you can see, there's a lot of salt just spread across this driveway here at the Jasper Fire and Rescue. Now, this, again, many of the things the city has done to prepare for the potential weather threat. Now, I spoke with the county's 911 director who tells me they started making preparations yesterday. They currently have their day and night shift housed at their office, prepared to stay overnight if need be. Now, this department handles all 911 calls the county receives, and they will page local fire and police to respond accordingly. But they're urging folks here in Jasper to not travel on these roads unless you absolutely have to.
Staying off the roads helps my dispatch because that takes down the volume of accidents and number of folks on the road at the risk of accidents. So just basically shelter in place, stay placed till this blows over.
Now, Thomas tells me that for those that must travel today, drive slow, use caution, and if you're traveling on those back roads, he says there's always a potential threat of icy roads or black ice, so just be very careful if you must travel today and into tomorrow. Reporting live from Jasper, Audrey Robinson, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
Talking about these extreme cold temperatures, first responders want to make sure that you are heating your home safely.
So let's go to Brian Henry, who has some crucial advice from first responders. Brian.
For Morgan and Sarah, veteran firefighters say the bottom line is common sense. That is the main thing, not only today, but for tomorrow as well. We are all cold. We all want to be warm, but we also want to be smart about it. Keep space heaters at a safe distance away from your bed or your couch, and be mindful of the extension cords you have, because some of them may not be properly designed to provide the right power for space heaters. One national study shows that half of home heat related fires occur during the months of December, January, and February.
Well, the main thing is just use good common sense. That's the main thing. Of course, we've all heard before, to keep things 3 feet or more, away from a heater, and that certainly applies. Use a direct outlet. Don't use an extension cord, because most of those are not rated for the load that a heater, especially a space heater, is going to draw. So just good common sense.
Booty Cox says now is the time to begin checking your smoke alarms, and specifically your batteries in those alarms. In Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
All right, covering East Alabama and Calhoun County, which is also in that advisory area, EMA officials in Calhoun County are stressing the importance of you being prepared for any situation.
So what does that look like? Our East Alabama reporter Reggie Kyle has that advice.
Morgan St. Clair County, Calhoun County EMA officials are warning the public this evening to take this winter advisory very seriously and prepare for the worst. Governor Kay Ivey declared a state of emergency for 25 counties, including Calhoun County. EMA Director of Calhoun County, Miles Chamberlain, says winter storms can bring about extreme conditions like snow, ice, high winds, and freezing rain. With the expected winter weather forecasted for this week, he says being prepared and having a plan is essential. Check your home to keep out the cold. Gather supplies in case you need to stay home for a few days without power. Create an emergency supply kit for your car in case you have to leave home.
Currently, there's only one warming station open in Calhoun County. It's at Anniston First United Methodist Church. It's 1400 Noble Street. It's a pretty large facility that can house a lot there. So they've actually been open for a few days with the cold temperatures we've been having. But we've talked to our community partners, and they're ready to open up a warming shelter if they see the need arise.
Now, Chamberlain wants the public to know that now is the time to head to the store to stock up on food, other supplies you may need, just in case it gets bad in the days ahead. Calhoun County, Reggie Kyle, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt, you are looking at our traffic system right now. We're starting to see those impacts across northern Coleman County. I-65 right now, both lanes there at exit 310. Both of those lanes are now stopped because of ice development, and it looks like a significant crash that's happened there. And you want to stress again, we're starting to see those impacts, and we need to be extra cautious out there, especially these northern areas. A lot of moisture, and now we have temperatures that are falling down into the 20s and down into the single digits. But I want to walk you through the forecast data here. And first off, we'll start looking at the camera view that we have here from Hamilton. We've been watching some of those sky vision cameras to the north. We've seen some light sleet, some light freezing rain and snow happening. This is in Marion County where it's 22 degrees. We're under a winter storm warning, and that does include us here in Coleman and Winston counties. Might see over an inch of accumulation. But the big story here is a lot of this is just involving that wintry mix for us and a lot of icy weather that we're seeing in those areas to the north. But it's just incredible to see these temperatures in the low 20s to the north, near 60 to the south. But notice by 6 o'clock tonight, we're seeing that frigid air blasting further south. How well are the models handling this colder air? We'll have to see how quickly that freezing line progresses to the south. But all indications by 7 o'clock, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Gadsden, we're at or below freezing. And it's interesting the way this is all sliding in. It's kind of moving in from the northwest. So if you're in places like Center, even though you're located further north, the way that cold air, it's drifting in from the northwest direction. It's not going, the freezing line doesn't quite reach us until after 6 o'clock, and that's when we're going to start to see more of that freezing rain and sleet here across places like Cherokee County as well to the far north. But it looks like into West Alabama, Aliceville, Utah, Tuscaloosa, Fosters, Northport, be careful out here, Oakland, Jasper, Birmingham by 7 o'clock, and the data showing even more precipitation trying to flare up here this evening, which will end up providing, looks like we could see over 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation in many areas. Not quite to ice storm levels, which is about a 1/2 inch of ice development. That's when you start seeing, large tree limbs breaking off, massive power outages around the area. But by 10 o'clock tonight, we still have some precipitation out there. So this is not just 1 hour we're talking about. We're talking about several hours this evening when we could see this overrunning moisture, and that's going to cause some problems again with the bridges and the overpasses. But right now, the biggest travel concerns are in these northwest areas. So I know it's getting close to 5 o'clock drive time. The roads are fine right now around Birmingham. Roads are fine in Tuscaloosa, and the roads are fine Pell City over to Anniston. But try to get to where you need to be after 6 o'clock, because that's when those problems are going to start to drop a little bit closer to the I-59 corridor, and I-20 is going to be right there closer to 7 o'clock. But the cold air tomorrow is going to be around all day. Look at these low teens out there during the day. We'll have some sunshine coming back, and the wind and the sunshine, you get that on the road surfaces. That can help us out a little bit, even with sub-freezing temperatures. So early tomorrow morning, certainly there could be some impacts. Hopefully by mid to late morning, we'll start to see some improvements, and then we'll get this system behind us. Now to the north, where we've had more of this ice, more of the sleet throughout the day, there's probably going to be some leftover impacts happening there throughout the day. But I wanted to jump over to our First Alert 7-day forecast, so you can see here there's going to be another chance that we could have some colder weather coming back in here later on this week. Right now we have declared another First Alert weather day. Saturday, highs around 29. So just go ahead, if you've covered the faucets, leave the faucet covers on right on through the end of the week, because we're going to have some more freezing conditions and maybe even some wintry precipitation across areas to the north. Let's check in with meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Lauren, as we continue to track this frozen precipitation, again, really cautioning folks there in areas to the north to stay off the roads.
Yeah, Wes, we're already seeing issues. I would definitely say by 6 o'clock, get where you need to be. If your area is farther to the north, you already need to be where you are. So let's look at First Alert AccuTrack right now. We can see some light freezing rain has been falling across Coleman County, and it now is pushing to the east towards area like Blount County and over towards areas like Etowah County, and possibly getting into Cherokee County here. So over the next 60 minutes, you can see that light freezing rain is going to push eastward towards I-59. The problem problem is even light freezing rain, as we've already seen, can cause issues on the roads. As we look at our system here showing the current road conditions, you can see right here in Coleman County, it is already indicating that the roads are becoming icy on I-65. And you can see up that I-22 corridor, the potential for some snow up towards Marion County, over towards Fayette, Winston County, areas like that, Lamar County seeing also that colder air coming in. But the ice concerns right now showing on our system there in Coleman County. And here's why. The road temperatures are beginning to drop. There's normally a lag in the road temperatures from when the air temperature drops, but now they're coming in. So Coleman, we're estimating a road temperature of 25 degrees. That's several degrees below freezing. We're already seeing temperatures down to 34 in Blount County, a road temperature of 34 over in Walker County, and near that in Fayette County. You can see road temperatures are still in the 40s, areas farther south, basically along and south of I-20, but that's going to be changing very quickly. And as we mentioned earlier, freezing rain, there's a warm layer to the north of us, to the north of us, above the surface. So there's a large layer of warm air that the snow, which it starts off in at the cloud where the temperatures are at freezing, it's falling through a large warm layer. And as that happens, that snowflake melts. But the problem is there's a freezing layer right at the surface. So that causes any rain that falls to freeze on contact. And what I'm showing you here, this is getting a little scientific, but this is called an atmospheric sounding. This is what meteorologists look at. They send balloons up into the atmosphere, weather balloons, and it records lots of different weather data. This is one that was taken at Mississippi State earlier this afternoon, showing the different levels in the atmosphere. This is here at the surface, showing temperatures below freezing, but look what happens to that temperature profile as you go up. It gets significantly warmer. We have temperatures much warmer above the surface. This is what meteorologists call a warm nose. I know that sounds weird, but look, it does kind of look like a nose, right? And that's what's happening. We've got this snow that is starting off in the cloud, but it's falling through a very warm layer of air. So it melts, and you think, okay, well, it's just gonna be rain, no big deal. But the problem is temperatures right at the surface, right at or below freezing, and that's where the problems are going to be this evening. So stay safe out there, y'all.
From the First Alert Desk, I'm breaking news reporter Oliviana Calmes. As we work on getting that weather coverage for you, parts of Walker and Fayette County are under a boiled water status. Oakman Water Works saying they've lost all water in one of their tanks. They say it's creating low water pressure for some customers, and some can't get water at all. So they've been posting on their Facebook pages in that area. They say people need to boil any water that they're using for human consumption, especially if they've experienced some low pressure. And that's in the Boley area of Fayette County and Patton Hill and Corona areas of Walker County. And if they say if you don't have water, they're set up at Boley Volunteer Fire Department to distribute water. But they say as soon as they get caught up with the water and restore the pressure, they'll be able to test it and make sure it's safe. So make sure it's boiled if you're going to be consuming that. And we'll be right back with more coverage.
Welcome back, everyone. Right now, warming stations are open across our state. EMA services in St. Clair County are ready for this frigid weather with warming stations, and this is dangerous extreme temperatures, as you know, so EMA officials want to take every precaution possible.
Make sure you're weather aware and making sure that you have two sources of alerts, either our alert or like a news station or like Fox 6 has their alert. So make sure that you have two sources of alerts. We have weather radios here if somebody needs to come by and pick up a weather radio. Monday's a holiday and the courthouses they're normally closed, but they'll be open for warming stations.
And starting tonight, the city of Birmingham is opening a 24-hour warming station at the BJCC's East Ballroom. It starts at 6 p.m. and closes Thursday at 7 a.m. And we're watching those power outages across the state. Great news so far. Alabama Power reporting most of us are still with power. That's why you're watching us right now. About 300 people are affected right now, and they tell us crews are ready for the cold in the coming days.
One thing you can do to protect your pipes during these freezing temperatures is to let your faucets drip. You've often heard people say to make them drip so they don't freeze, especially if they're exposed. But does this really work? Carrie Adkins, the expert with on-time service, says yes, but it depends.
It depends, okay, on how cold it gets and how long it stays cold. Typically, you know, we're not going to see problems until it gets into the teens and stays that way for a day or so, you know, where it doesn't get above freezing at all.
Well, that could be us this week. Adkins says another easy way to protect your home and pipes is to make sure the door to your crawl space is closed.
Well, ahead of potential dangerous road conditions, a number of schools have already closed their doors for Tuesday. Here's a list of school districts announcing they will be closed tomorrow. They include Alabaster City, Jefferson County, Birmingham City, Hoover City, Midfield City schools, all announcing they will be closed tomorrow. And for a full list of school closings and delays, you can find this story on the WBRC News app. Wes.
All right, Sarah, it's a first alert weather day for the threat of frozen precipitation across our area. We now have roads, according to Marion County there, the roads in the outlying areas around the city, the roads are to be considered impassable because of the frozen precipitation. We have a multi-car accident being reported on I-65 near the exit 310 area in Coleman County, and it's got both lanes right now shut down on I-65 there, northern Coleman County, because of icy travel in those areas. So with these temperatures dropping well below freezing, we're starting to see a flash freeze and some icy patches developing in areas to the northwest. That's where we have the winter storm warning. Now those travel impacts will start to slide further south. That's why we have a winter weather advisory. It's an advisory because we don't expect those significant accumulations like what we're going to see to the north. But the bridges and the overpasses tonight, they're going to become dangerous if we do get this freezing rain, as the model suggests. And you can see there's a lot of it moving our way. Just a steady stream here from Mississippi, that moisture moving in from the west. And again, a lot of this falls, you look outside, it falls as rain. I mean, we don't necessarily see icy precipitation falling from the sky, but then it reaches the ground and then it just freezes on contact. And you'll start to notice on the car tops, on your car windows, that glaze of ice. Have to work extra hard to open the door to your vehicle tomorrow morning because those doors will likely be frozen shut because of the icy glaze that will develop out there tonight, kind of like a donut, that glaze that you see on there. Tomorrow morning, though, let's walk through the data. Let's go through this evening. This is some of the new data. This is from the HRRR, one of our high-resolution models. And this model today, we started noticing it is generating some of these higher resolution models more precipitation than what we're even seeing last night. But what's interesting here is the models have really been right on with this for 10 days. And you know, when we started talking about it this time last week, we were thinking mixed wintry precipitation, and that's exactly what we're getting here, is more frozen rain as this moves south. But notice by midnight, looks like a good coverage out there as temperatures drop into the 20s. So there's going to be some hazardous road conditions. I would avoid travel tonight. Plan for delays tomorrow morning and impacts for the early morning drive as well. We're going to talk a lot more about the rest of the week that involves some very frigid air as we continue with our coverage on this First Alert Weather Day. 8 p.m. Yeah, 8 p.m. to 10 a.m. Wednesday.
Probably a full mile, actually. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Yes, you hear me? Wait, what's wrong with the mic?
Check your battery.
It's on my jacket. Why? Is it hitting something?
Live and on your side, WBRC Fox 6 News starts with First Alert Weather.
Good to have you with us, everyone. Of course, we're on your side, getting you ready. We will be under a hard freeze warning starting tonight. Our First Alert Weather team declaring today a First Alert Weather Day for the dangerous winter conditions that will impact you throughout the week.
That's right. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Wes White looking at the timing of this. Wes just got some new of that high-resolution model data with an update on what we can expect in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, and again, Jonathan and Sarah, this is mostly going to be a rain that falls and freezes on contact. Freezing rain, something we don't see often around here, but with the shallow nature of this cold air, it's going to cause this to fall as liquid and then freeze on contact. It's interesting. Lauren showed some data in the past hour, some of what we call atmospheric sounding data, and you go up 2,000-3,000 feet up, the temperatures are well above freezing right now. It's a wild setup, but it's certainly going to cause some rapid changes, and the road conditions rapidly deteriorating right now across our north and northwest areas. So I just want to stress, if you're in those northwest zones, to stay off the roadways. The precipitation has been rather light, but it's been enough where we've got some moisture on the roadways, and now it's starting to freeze. But there's another pocket. You can see some heavier freezing rain now starting to move in from Mississippi. That's about to work its way in towards Lamar County, parts of Fayette, and into Walker County. The precipitation in general for most areas will be on the lighter side tonight. That's why we're not seeing an ice storm. We're forecasting rainfall, freezing rainfall accumulations up to 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch for tonight. Now, there could be a few power outages because of the winds. We've had a couple of active systems over the past week, of course, to move through here. Never rule that out. But overnight tonight, the big story is going to be those impacts to the overpasses, elevated surfaces, bridges. As that air gets underneath there, we'll start to see those regions freezing up sooner. But this is the new data that we were taking a look at. This is the HRRR, some of the high-resolution models through 8 o'clock, and it's showing that freezing rain starting to happen across parts of Greens, Pickens, Fayette, Walker, Tuscaloosa, Jefferson, Blount, Etowah counties, perhaps northern St. Clair County, and into parts of northern Cherokee County by 8 o'clock. And by 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock tonight, some very dangerous conditions. The one thing about this time of night, and I know it's a holiday today, but hardly anybody on the roads later on tonight, so where we do get those residual puddles and that water that collects on the surface, that's just going to freeze over tonight. So there will be icy patches and black ice concerns throughout the overnight, especially after 10 o'clock tonight. Some very dangerous conditions for areas further south, parts of Bibb, Shelby counties, parts of Talladega County, and notice by 3 o'clock in the morning that freezing rain sliding into the southern half of the area. So we're also going to have the threat to the south. We may not be able to wake up to Frosty the Snowman here tomorrow morning in these areas to the south, but there's going to be some icy patches on the roadways that will cause some disruptions. And the temperatures during the day tomorrow will stay below freezing. Went with highs only in the 20s. We'll probably stay in the teens all day to the far north. There's 5 p.m. showing 21 in Center, 17 in Gadsden, 14 in Hamilton, 15 in Coleman. And keep in mind, for these areas to the far north, the wind chills will drop below 0 in some of those areas overnight and into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow Tomorrow night, lows are dropping to near 10 degrees out there, so we have a hard freeze warning. It goes into effect this evening, and it will stay in effect until early Wednesday morning. But there's some areas to the north we may not even climb above freezing on Wednesday. I think Marion, Winston, Coleman County, some of these impacts where we have the ice and the accumulations, some of that may still be around in the early Wednesday morning as well. But timing-wise, I know for a lot of areas south, you've been seeing all these pictures around the state of snow to the north. We haven't seen a whole lot. Just know the main impacts for the rest of the area, that's going to be happening here over the next few hours as we start to see that wintry precipitation moving further south and continuing past midnight. So again, we'll continue to track this. We've got some radar updates. I'll be back with the 7-day forecast.
Now, as we've been telling you, Governor Kay Ivey has declared a state of emergency for 25 counties across our state. This includes Coleman, Calhoun, Pickens, St. Clair, Jefferson, and Tuscaloosa counties. The governor saying, quote, "We are anticipating unusually cold temperatures in Alabama this week, so I am urging everyone to be prepared, to take caution traveling, and stay weather aware." That's why we have had a first alert weather day today. Coleman County is one of the areas under that winter weather advisory. Already we're hearing stories about crashes on the roads there and that for the potential wintry mix there.
I-65 mile marker 310 is shut down both directions right now by multiple crashes. Tristan Rupert is live at 5 for us, very close to that area with a first-hand look at what the roads and the traffic is doing. Tristan.
Jonathan, we're actually en route to that area now, and let me tell you, road conditions have deteriorated greatly just within the last hour. I spoke with Trooper Bailey. He was the one that sent out that release from the troopers. He says ever since the sun went down, things have taken a turn for the worse. And again, the interstates are really bad, really all the way from the Tennessee border down south to mile marker 310. We couldn't even get there because we tried to go on 31, really a street or a road that runs right alongside it. There was a huge hill, and several vehicles had already actually fallen victims to some ice there, including us almost. We ended up just getting out of the way. I'm actually going to put our driver on, our photographer, Cruz. Just take us through it, man. What is it like driving? You're the one behind the wheel. Can you kind of tell us what we're experiencing?
Well, I know when we went down that road, we instantly felt like I'd lost all control of the wheels. You instantly feel the slipperiness on the road. You can feel the ice. It just built up under the tires, and I mean, you really couldn't stop at all. I had to turn the wheel quickly to get safe, instantly get off the road and into the grass. So that was our whole mission, to be safe. And if you can, please just stay off the roads as much as you can, and stay focused on being safe out here.
100% right, Cruz. And let me stress this to y'all, folks. It is not a great time to be on the roads. It really is dangerous, quite slick. The more water that gets on it, the more troublesome tomorrow could be with those freezing temperatures. We're just past I-65 now. We're going to pop a UE, try and get a shot up to show y'all what some of the conditions are like out on the interstate right now. We're just trying to do this in the safest possible manner, try and get y'all updates. Again, all around here, really not a great time to be on the road. Vehicles without four-wheel drive having a lot more difficulty than those with it. We're going to update you, though, as soon as we learn more. I'm going to speak with Trooper Bailey, hopefully on the phone within the next 15 to 20 minutes, try and give you an update from their perspective as well, because they're dealing with a lot of havoc on the interstate right now. Reporting in Coleman County, Tristan Rupert, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
Tristan, thanks. Our friends in North Alabama hit hard by snow, sleet, and freezing rain with their winter storm warning now in effect for all parts of North Alabama. This is Florence earlier today. Beautiful there, the snow, of course, but the wintry mix caused some roads even this morning before some of this came in. Bridges and roads closed in Colbert and Jackson counties. This is in Madison County and Harvest, where several roads were too icy to drive, some impassable, and they've got warming centers open across North Alabama. And this is now a situation of some urgency in Marion County in our neck of the woods. Multiple crashes on corridor XI-22, at least 4 of them we know, Sarah, causing major traffic backups basically from mile marker 30 up to the Mississippi state line.
Dangerous situation out there. That's where our live team coverage continues with Anjanae Robinson. Anjanae, what can you tell us about all this?
Well, Sarah, Jonathan, I will say that the Marion County EMA just posted on Facebook about an hour or so ago saying around 4 p.m. today that the Marion County is now under an impassable travel advisory, and this has been issued for all Marion County roads until further notice. Now, ALDOT saying that representatives also advise extreme caution on all state routes in Marion County tonight. Now, for those public for those general drivers that might be out in the general public, they're advised that when the roads and bridges are impassable, they really advise you to not travel at all during this time until further notice. We'll, of course, continue to keep you updated as we learn more, but as of right now, it's definitely not safe to drive in Marion County at the moment. Now, of course, I'm in Walker County at this moment, at this particular moment in Jasper, where we're not going through that impassable travel notice right now, but I will say that a lot of folks here are already taking the precautions needed to keep safe tonight. Lots of folks here not driving on these roads. Actually, like this few car that just passed by me is the fewest cars that I've seen out on the road tonight. It's very empty. I'm going to actually step out of the way so my photographer Mike can show you a little bit about what we're seeing here in Jasper. It's kind of an empty town, if you'll say that. We've got not a lot of cars on the road. Again, it's pretty empty out here. Now, of course, we're not under that travel advisory, but a lot of county leaders here in Jasper are telling me that this isn't the time to drive and to stay safe and inside unless you absolutely have to. Now, of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on that Marion County announcement. But again, folks, if you're in Marion County, those state roads, please do not drive at this particular moment. Reporting in Jasper, Ajane Robinson, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
Well, the Alabama Department of Transportation getting ahead of this winter weather system. Get a look here. You can see crews started preparing some of the roads for you to drive on. Workers were pre-treating the roads and bridges before driving conditions started to deteriorate. This is a look at Highway 216 in Tuscaloosa and Tuscaloosa County, where crews were treating the roadways. An LDOT spokesperson says weather could impact road conditions from now until Tuesday morning. LDOT also has crews on standby to address any potential hazards on the roads during this winter weather event. So it's the conditions like this where people don't want to be stuck without food. So a lot of folks were making that grocery run to make sure.
That's right. Let's go live at 5 to our Brian Henry checking in on folks who try to get bread and milk perhaps stocked up for a couple of days, maybe eggs too, Brian.
Well, Jonathan, Sarah, when word got out that a winter storm was on the way this week here in Alabama, a Piggly Wiggly here in Tuscaloosa got busier than normal. Now, the good thing, according to store manager Wayne Reed, they in fact prepared for it and had plenty of milk and bread for customers today. Reed says they did not run out over the weekend, and they're in good shape right now. Milk and bread weren't the only items people bought.
Things like beans and chili mix, things like that, increase anytime they say that the weather's going to get cold. I think people are just, mostly they've been shopping just to get their grocery shopping out of the way. So if they can't get out.
They were out of school on Friday for the severe weather, so I got some stuff to have at the house, and that's pretty much why we did that. And today we did get milk because we had been eating cereal for a little while, and they told me this morning that we ran out of milk.
And checking the aisles at that particular Piggly Wiggly on Lurleen B. Wallace Boulevard, they had plenty of milk and bread and other items as well. And Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
All right, Brian, you can really tell there in Tuscaloosa, too, from we were checking in with Brian earlier. We didn't see quite as many clouds. They're starting to really fill in now for us here in Tuscaloosa, Northport, and West Alabama. So be alert tonight. I still think for us here in Moundville, Tuscaloosa, over to Aliceville. We're also going to have that threat for freezing rain continuing through Bessemer here in Birmingham and here in East Alabama as well. Our friends around Leeds and Asheville, looks like after 7 o'clock. But there will be a period of freezing rain likely, some icy bridges and overpasses. Again, I'm not seeing an ice storm set up at this point, an ice storm threat. That would mean, you know, the mass power outages and trees down, that level of ice accretion. We're not expecting that. We're going to see those ice totals up to around 0.2, but certainly enough to cause some major travel disruptions out there for tonight. We're starting to see those problems to the north because we've seen more precipitation throughout the day, so the moisture's already there on a lot of those bridges and overpasses. So we're starting to see Coleman, Winston, and Marion County County, those traffic issues starting to pop up. There could be a little bit of sleet accumulation. You look out the window tomorrow morning, you're not going to see a lot of snow. There might be a little coating of sleet on some of the surfaces, on the garbage can tops and the garbage dumpsters and the car tops and maybe a few rooftops out there early tomorrow. But one thing you will notice is a light glaze of ice on the windows. And watch out when you step outdoors tomorrow morning. If you have lots of steps leading up to your front door, just be extra careful. We don't want you to slip tomorrow. Patios and steps and things could get real icy, as well as the bridges and overpasses. You can see showing now over 0.2 of an inch of ice accumulation for some parts of the area. You look to the south and east, it's very, very light. Not much at all, showing 0.02 of an inch of rain, but it just does not take much moisture to cause a big problem. So check in tomorrow morning starting at 4 o'clock first off. If you're thinking about tomorrow, I've had a lot of folks ask me about appointments early Tuesday morning. Will the roads be okay? Further south where we don't have as much precipitation, even though temperatures stay below freezing, we should see some improvements. However, just check in. We'll have plenty of traffic updates on the road conditions there on Good Day early tomorrow morning. But you look out the window here in Coleman and you see it's 23 degrees. We've had some of that light precipitation and it looks like everything's okay. But again, you get out there, there's icy patches developing, as we saw from Tristan there, developing right now in parts of Coleman County. So watch out for the threat of black ice tonight. One thing we're closely watching, those road temperatures. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan standing by with updates. Lauren, some of this pretty cool data that we actually have here in the First Alert Weather Center. We can monitor those conditions. This really came in handy after Snowmageddon when we started using some of this technology, but looks like those temperatures will fall quickly.
Yeah, and we aren't expecting this to be Snowmageddon levels of crisis, but we still don't want to even have one wreck on the road if we can avoid it, if at all possible, because even a little thin layer of ice can cause some problems. So as we look at those current road temperatures, maybe a little hard to see on your screen, but what we're seeing in Coleman County, areas like Winston, Marion County, temperatures are already into the 20s. So they're below freezing. And what oftentimes happens is that air temperature begins to drop and then the road temperatures will follow suit. So you'll see here in areas like Jefferson County, Tuscaloosa County, we are still seeing in areas like St. Clair County temperatures in the upper 30s, low 40s, but temperatures are already dropping to near freezing in some of these areas. So the road temperatures aren't going to be far behind. Now, we aren't seeing any freezing rain in areas south of I-20 just yet, but we've got to watch as we begin to see a little bit more precipitation as the evening progresses. So looking at the future road temperatures, you'll see over the next few hours here that freezing corridor where road temperatures are going to be at or below freezing by 10 o'clock tonight should extend to the I-20-59 corridor. And then once we get past midnight, you can see those temperatures just continue to plummet areas farther to the south and east. So wherever you live in central Alabama, you want to avoid travel from about really right now until we get into the mid-morning hours for tomorrow. And of course, you got to check back in tomorrow morning on Good Day because we will have some updates on if any roads have improved. But as we were saying earlier, we're already seeing some areas across our neck of the woods like Coleman County up towards Marion County where roads are impassable. But we should be seeing some improvements tomorrow afternoon. I say that, but it's still going to be very bitterly cold in the days ahead. But the freezing rain threat is primarily what we're concerned about in our area. And as we've been talking about, yes, you can look outside and it looks like rain is falling. So you think, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is the road temperatures are plummeting drastically. So anything that falls to the ground is going to freeze on contact, and that can cause for some slick roads. But we'll continue to be tracking this winter weather here on Fox 6.
All right, Lauren, Etowah County is going to be under a winter weather advisory starting tonight.
EML leaders there in Gadsden are preparing for just about everything. More live team coverage for you with our East Alabama reporter, Reggie Kyle. What can you tell us, Reg?
Sarah, it's still pretty dry here in the Gadsden area. You can definitely feel the wind picking up. The temperatures continue to drop, and EMA officials just want everybody to just be prepared for anything. EMA official Derek Murmur says he wants people to just check on their neighbor. Make sure your neighbor is okay. Some are living home alone. Make sure that they have enough to make it, for example, non-perishable food items that can get them through, blankets to keep them warm, flashlight and batteries to supply those flashlights, and most importantly, plenty of water to drink. He says this winter mixture headed this way should not be taken lightly, and to stay updated on weather forecasts, follow the safety guidelines, cooperate with your local authorities. EMA officials are on standby to address any issues that arise during this winter storm.
A big thing that a lot of people forget about is a manual can opener. If your power goes out, you're not going to be able to open those cans. So you want to be able to have a way to get that food open as well. We're prepared as the EMA and inform the public of being prepared. Having a disaster kit at your house, having a disaster kit in your car.
EMA Emergent says if you're going to be out at this time, take advantage of while the roads are dry. Go get all your supplies while you can and be safe and don't get caught out in this storm. In Gaston, Reggie Kyle, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
That's a sugar.
And we have a first alert traffic update for you. We did want to let you know that in Coleman County, all lanes on I-65 are shut down. That is areas in the northbound and southbound lane. You can see that extending from south of Vinemont all the way up to the northern edge of the county line. So you can see Highway 31 running right alongside that. But, sometimes we're like, oh, well, why don't you go on this road instead? No, we don't want you to be traveling in Coleman County at all. We have been seeing multiple crashes related to ice in that area, so we just want to make sure you're staying safe and off the roads because there's already been freezing rain falling in this area. And then we also have some issues over in Marion County as well. As we zoom out the view here, you'll notice that there is a little bit of orange and yellow showing up here. That is already indicating some traffic troubles along that I-22 corridor. So if you've got to travel anywhere in northwest Alabama, you don't want to do it. You need to go ahead and make alternate plans and stay in place until about mid-morning for tomorrow, because it's just going to get colder from here and we will continue to see road conditions deteriorating. Right now, if you look at across our area, it looks pretty good for most of us if your area is to the south. But this is likely going to deteriorate within the next few hours as we begin to see some light frozen precipitation begin to fall. And that is going to cause the roads to be slick, and our cars here in central Alabama are not built for those kind of conditions. So you want to stay off the roads because there could definitely be some issues if you are out driving on these slick roads. And that is your first alert traffic update.
From the First Alert Desk, I'm breaking news reporter Oliviana Calmy. Speaking of those roads, I'm going to show you a picture the Sheriff's Office of Winston County just posted of their roads. They say that's considered impassable until further notice, and they ask people to suspend or delay any travel. You can see just how white the road is getting, and definitely getting probably in that icy range. I mean, our meteorologists are keeping us up to date on those conditions, but they say only emergency vehicles should travel on those county roads and bridges until further notice. And I don't know about you, but those roads do not look like anything I want to be on right now.
Yeah, certainly not there, Liviana. We have winter storm warnings for Winston, Marion, Coleman counties. This is a live look from Hamilton right now where it's 19 degrees, and there's just been the full plate of wintry precipitation. Freezing rain, sleet, snow. Could end up, when this is all comes to an end, 1 to 2 inches there of sleet and snow, but about a quarter inch of freezing rain. A live look from Nectar. It's 37 degrees. The view over in the Blount County very soon. That freezing line making that push here in the Blount County, northern Jefferson counties as well. Got got to watch those bridges and overpasses here over the next few hours, especially to the north. Already seeing those accident reports. Watch it around Walker County, Fayette, Lamar, and into Coleman counties as that freezing rain moves in. That cold air gets underneath those overpasses, and we start to see those areas of black ice developing, and that's going to be a big threat for us here. Sort of like a flash freeze setup tonight with these temperatures dropping not just to freezing, but you can see to the north teens and low 20s. By 9 o'clock, the model data is showing this axis where we've been tracking that frozen precipitation sliding south and east. So Tuscaloosa, we'll get it. Birmingham, Aniana, places around St. Clair County to Gadsden, Cherokee counties by 9, 10 o'clock. So we've got precipitation falling with a temperature of 23 in Jasper. That is not a good recipe. Same for us in Birmingham. So stay off those roadways tonight for that threat of ice as this moves further south by midnight, showing 28 in Alabaster, places like Chelsea up to Pell City and Leeds, upper 20s with light freezing rain, and the same for us down as far south as Utah and Demopolis. And actually these winter weather advisories, they extend as far south as Mobile and Baldwin counties in Alabama. So this is the big chill, the polar plunge that is going to make its way down across the state of Alabama. Out the door tomorrow morning, showing now 8 degrees at Hamilton, 9 degrees at Coleman, so single digits possible to the north. By 11 o'clock in the morning, up to 10 degrees at Coleman, 11 at Hamilton, and we're going to see those temperatures tomorrow. They will actually top out only in the 20s there during the afternoon, but we will see all that precipitation move out during the early morning hours. Our first alert 7-day, though, shows the possibility of several areas Wednesday finally rising above freezing, showing an afternoon high around 36 degrees. Overnight lows, you can see down at 21 degrees there early Thursday morning. A 40% chance for rain coming back Thursday night and into Friday. Notice that low, 31 degrees. There's a chance that we could see as that system moves out, maybe some more wintry precipitation, especially across North Alabama. But we have declared another first alert weather day for the weekend on Saturday because of sub-freezing temperatures during the day. We won't break out of the 20s on Saturday, lows back into the teens. So all of those extreme cold weather measures that are in play, want to keep those certainly in place for this weekend as temperatures drop well below freezing. So we have certainly change things around now. We went from stormy mode to winter weather mode over the next several days. Again, some icy weather possible. Avoid travel where we have that freezing rain tonight. We'll be back to show you what the radar looks like coming up.
Well, our first alert weather team is once again emphasizing the 4 P's in this extreme cold: people, pets, plants, and also don't forget about those pipes.
Yeah, especially during these hard freezes, you got to protect them. Tonight may be the time to really keep an eye on those. Claire Huddleston is live at 5 for some advice on how to protect those pipes, especially those in your furnace, Claire.
Yeah, Jonathan and Sarah, you definitely want to make sure to protect those pipes, and they may not be the first type of pipes that you think about. I know for me, it's usually those faucet pipes, but Kerry Atkins with On Time Service says it's really important to check your furnace pipes. He says in December of 2022, we saw a lot of high efficiency furnaces unexpectedly shut off. Here's what happened.
We were getting calls from customers going, my furnace all of a sudden quit working, you know? And then when we got out there and started checking it out, we were like, oh, okay, the drain line froze. The furnace couldn't properly drain anymore, so it shut it down. So we had to thaw out the drain line to get it to drain, get the heat back on. And so the last thing you want to deal with when it's in the teens is, oh my gosh, my furnace is not working.
Now, Atkins says if you do have a high efficiency furnace, you'll want to check that pipe that goes to the outside. He says if it is frozen, you could get like a little pick or something and chip away at that ice so that the water can then drain properly. I did mention faucet pipes earlier. You do want to protect those as well. You can wrap them up with a towel or blanket with some duct tape. We have more tips about that right now on our WBRC News app. Live in the newsroom, Claire Huddleston, back to you in the studio.
All right, we're going to take you back to that breaking news in Coleman County. The icy roads are causing a number of crashes there.
I-65 shut down for at least about 8 miles. 310 to 318 or so is the neighborhood where folks are just sitting still right now. Tristan Rupert now live at 5 from next to that road. Tristan.
That's right, Jonathan. These conditions only getting worse. Trooper Brandon Bailey actually just put out that release. All 8 miles, all lanes, standstill traffic right now because of those dangerous icy conditions, I should say. And let's just take a look. We've been out in these conditions now for quite a minute. Take a look for yourself. This car covered in ice. So it's easy to imagine how much colder and how much icier the roads are. It's not great conditions. Again, if you can avoid the roads, please do so. In the next 20 to 30 minutes, we're going to try and get on 65, give you all a glimpse at what it looks like in the worst of our area and the worst of our community at the moment. But again, we're going to bring you the latest sights and sounds from across the DMA, across the viewing area over the next 3 to 4 hours. Reporting in Coleman, Tristan Rupert, WBRC Fox 6 News. We'll hear more after the break.
Yes, hey, you can feel the change in temperatures and everything's going crazy.
Live and on your side. WBRC Fox 6 News starts with First Alert Weather.
And everybody looking at that little bug we call on the right side of your screen there, 37 degrees. That's what it is up here on Red Mountain, but perhaps not where you are. And that's making a lot of difference in how your roads are right now.
Yeah, those temperatures are dropping drastically across our area. Our Chief Meteorologist, Wes Wyatt, is showing us what's happening now, Wes.
Yeah, we start to see some of that freezing drizzle and freezing rain moving further south into the heart of our coverage area right now. Yeah, starting to see some light returns into northern Pickens County. So a first alert there around Highway 82 from Reform back to Gordo. Watch out around northern Tuscaloosa County, northern Jefferson County over the next few hours. That precipitation moving in. Very, very light precipitation. As we checked in with Tristan a few moments ago, it was mostly light freezing drizzle that we were seeing there across parts of the Coleman area. But more of this that will continue to slide south here over the next couple of hours. So as temperatures fall, we'll start to see that risk for icy bridges and overpasses increasing. Right now, if you're in Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Coleman counties, you need to avoid travel as we're starting to see those travel difficulties. They're starting to make their way further south through the coverage area. Temperature-wise, you can see why. We're down to 30 at Fayette. We've got light precipitation falling at 27 in Vernon, 20 degrees at Haleyville, Coleman at 23, 19 in Hamilton. But it's still quite interesting here back to the south. You can see Alexander City at 55 degrees. We had some areas where we were close to 60 degrees, 60 to the southeast, and then temperatures in the low 20s to the far northwest today. Quite the temperature contrast across the state. That's why it's been so deceiving today, is because it felt like a nice day for a lot of us. We had some sunshine. We've had a lot of winter weather happening. It snowed off and on all day around Madison County and areas to the far north, places like Florence, Tuscumbia getting some snowfall, and also around Hamilton. And that's where we have the winter storm warning for our area. It's Marion, Winston, Coleman counties. The rest of the areas under a winter weather advisory. We don't expect those extreme accumulations, and we don't expect an impact or precipitation that's going to continue through tomorrow. It's overnight tonight into the early morning, and then this will taper off. But there's going to be light accumulations up to about 2/10 of an inch of freezing rain, but certainly enough to cause some travel disruptions. And plan for those impacts for our entire area. And this is actually going to move into South Alabama as well. So with respect to travel interest, even for folks as far south as Montgomery, down into southwest Alabama, could be some icy patches out there early tomorrow morning. But here's a look at the forecast data, and it shows the steadier precipitation reaching us late this evening. By midnight, it looks like a steady flow of light freezing rain and freezing drizzle from Utah, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Gaston. What will this look like tomorrow? Well, for a lot of us, it's going to look like it rained all night, but there's going to be icy patches, some areas of black ice, maybe some light sleet accumulations. You will notice on tree limbs, on car tops, mailboxes. You'll notice that glaze of ice. In fact, you go out tomorrow morning, try to open the car door. It may be frozen shut there because of that glaze of ice on some of the cars there early tomorrow morning. But watch it around the patios, the steps tomorrow. Everything's going to be slippery as this moisture moves through tonight. But tomorrow, temperatures stay below freezing. So will we see any improvements? Well, typically, even though the temperatures are below freezing to the south, where we don't see quite as much precipitation, more isolated travel disruptions, we'll see more rapid improvements because we'll be talking about some sunshine coming back, and that's going to help those road surfaces to the far south there for tomorrow. But just be extra cautious. Plan for impacts in the morning. Avoid the roads tonight. We're going to check back in with Lauren coming up here in a little bit on those road temperatures that we're closely monitoring, as well as those accidents now being reported across the northern half of our area.
All right, Wes, thank you so much. And right now we are taking a live look over Birmingham, where we cannot really see what's going on, but we can definitely feel that it is getting so much colder out there, so much so that Governor Kay Ivey has declared a state of emergency for 25 counties across the state. That includes right here in Jefferson County, Coleman, Calhoun, Pickens, St. Clair, and Tuscaloosa counties. The governor telling us all that we are anticipating unusually cold temperatures in Alabama, so she is urging you to be prepared, cautious, especially while traveling, and staying weather aware. We're also tracking conditions for you right now in Walker County.
It's right up I-22 Quarter X, as it used to be called, as our Anjanae Robinson live at 5. And Anjanae, it's not so much there in Walker County where you've now sheltered inside, but it is just up the road in Winston County and Marion County, where they're having significant travel issues there on I-22.
Yeah, that's right, Jonathan, Sarah. They're definitely, Marion County is still under that impassable travel advisory. So folks in Marion County traveling on those state roads, make sure you get off safely and get to a safe spot. Right now, those roads are not easy and safe to travel on. Now, Jonathan, like you mentioned, I did move inside. I moved into a local grocery store here in Jasper, where a lot of folks have been coming in and out of the doors here. And I spoke earlier to the general manager, who tells me a little bit about what items have been just flying off the shelf today on what folks are stocking up on as they prepare for that severe weather threat to come through. Now, again, several people going in and out of this local grocery store here in Jasper. The general manager telling me typically when it comes to severe weather, a lot of people stock up on bread and milk. Now, other than that, many will also go for soups and canned goods. Merchant says when it comes to severe weather, they always make sure the store is fully stocked with whatever people might need.
Last week, we started gearing up for it when they started calling for it, ordering extra bread, extra milk, making sure we had plenty of supplies for everybody that they'd want, extra meats and sandwich meats and stuff like that. Just trying to prepare a little bit for it, because we knew it would get very busy closer to time when they start calling for bad weather like this.
Now, Merchant says as for closing early, he says that they plan to play it by ear and see how those roads hold up later on tonight. If it does get a little bit dangerous out there, he does plan to send his employees home early so they can get home safely. Now, that's all for right now out of Jasper. Anjanae Robinson, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
Thank you, Anjanae. And ahead of the potentially dangerous road conditions, so many schools in our area have already decided to close for tomorrow. Here's a partial list on your screen. You can see Alabaster, Jefferson County, Birmingham City, Hoover City, Midfield City. We are on your side with a full list of closures and delays on the WBRC News app. With temperatures dropping across our area, first responders want to make sure that you are heating your home safely.
Especially if you turn into space heaters, which I know a lot of you may be using tonight. Understandably, but Brian Henry is live at 5 with why you've got to be so cautious when you're doing that to avoid a much bigger, more dangerous problem, Brian.
Well, Jonathan Morgan, veteran firefighters not only in this part of the state but throughout the state of Alabama, will tell you that the bottom line for not only tonight but for the next 2 days is common sense. We're all cold, we all want to be warm, but we need to be pretty smart about it. Keep space heaters at a safe distance away from your bed or your couch, and be mindful that the extension cords you have may not be properly designed to provide that power needed for space heaters. One national study shows that half of home heat-related fires occur during the months of December, January, and February.
3 feet of space as the rule that we like to tell people. Keep anything that can burn away from the heater. Just like cooking, you never want to leave a space heater unattended, and then you always want to turn it off when leaving the room or sleeping. If you don't have one that has an automatic shut-off, we recommend purchasing those. That way, if it is tipped over, if you've got kids running through the house, or if somebody trips over it.
Firefighters say right now is a good time to check your smoke alarms as well as those batteries inside those alarms. In Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
From the First Alert Desk, I'm breaking news reporter Oliviana Calmes. We've been reporting on some of the crashes that we've seen because of these dangerous conditions out there, specifically in Coleman County. We know there was multiple crashes on I-65. We just got some drone video. I'm going to go right over to that tweet that we saw and show you just how backed up that is and what a headache really all of the road conditions has caused. Obviously, those wrecks being the worst part of all of that. So this video is about to go a little bit closer in so you can see just how many people are going very slow. Very, very slow. They've got their hazards on, some of them. You know, this is a good reminder to just really, really be safe on the road there. But it's clearly really, really backed up, and we'll be continuing to make sure you know exactly what's going on in our area and what roads you can travel on and really just not to travel at all right now looking at those conditions.
All right, it's a First Alert weather day, and we need to be concerned about freezing rain for tonight. Also, freezing rain will be likely, and as we get into the day tomorrow, we're probably going to have some lingering impacts early tomorrow morning with these temperatures dropping below freezing. Icy bridges and overpasses possible for tonight. Light sleet accumulations. If we see any accumulation, that's what we'll likely see there. If you notice a little bit of accumulation on exposed surfaces, but the precipitation, it is very light. This is the view from Birmingham, and looking back to the northwest, we're starting to see some of that light precipitation returning into parts Pickens and Lamar counties, and there's going to be more of these showers that develop and move in from the east, and that's going to cause freezing rain with road temperatures right now showing 26 at Coleman. These are the critical areas at this point. Listen up, if you're in Jasper, if you're in Coleman, if you're north of Warrior, you need to be staying put, avoiding travel in these areas where we have this light precipitation, especially be extra cautious around those bridges and overpasses. Guin, Winfield, road temperatures below freezing, and now those road surfaces freezing around Fayette. Certainly the bridges and overpasses will be. Same for us as we go to Rainsville. You can see Sneed and points to the north here. There's Locust Fork temperatures, road temperatures just above freezing, but we're seeing those critical road temperatures there starting to tumble. And when we look at the data, we're seeing the possibility of temperatures, road temperatures, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham to Gadsden in the upper 20s, as well as Utah by midnight tonight. So any leftover moisture is going to freeze there. It looks like by 3 a.m. those road surfaces dropping below freezing back into west Alabama, down to Greensboro, just above freezing still around Rockford and Talladega. So if you're leaving out, midnight to 2 a.m., it looks like for these areas, if you're traveling around Coosa County until, we get right there around sunrise time tomorrow morning, looks like those temperatures are close to freezing. But do watch the bridges and the overpasses, because even though the road temperature may show right there at 32 degrees, some of those bridges and overpasses will freeze a lot sooner, as well as elevated surfaces. And main type of wintry precipitation, I know we don't see it often around here. We don't see a lot of wintry precipitation, but freezing rain is going to be the main concern there. So avoid travel. Plan for a hard freeze starting tonight, even for right now. It's already started for our northern counties. It's going to continue overnight, continue through tomorrow night. And look at this, those northern locations, I think Hamilton to Coleman, temperatures could actually drop into the single digits by early tomorrow morning, and the wind chills could be as low as negative 10 degrees out there. Dangerously cold stuff, and you certainly want to throw an extra blanket, extra jacket in the car just in case you get into a situation there where you have to walk tonight. So hopefully you avoid travel unless absolutely necessary, especially for areas there further south later on tonight. We'll be talking more about that winter storm warning to the north. We've got updates on some accidents. We're starting to see those reports coming in across northern areas as we continue with this coverage on this First Alert Weather Day. Stay with us.
So we continue to talk about the impacts from this storm as it moves through Alabama. Here in central Alabama, our main concern is going to be freezing rain. So when you think about freezing rain, you may think, oh, it's frozen rain droplets coming out of the sky, but that's not necessarily it. If we look at the entire column of the atmosphere, we have to look at the entire temperature profile of the atmosphere from the surface to aloft. Where you have the cloud, believe it or not, oftentimes even just plain old rain starts off as snow in the cloud where temperatures are at freezing higher up in the atmosphere. But what happens is that freezing layer right around the cloud is actually very shallow. So by the time it moves farther down, it gets into a layer where the temperatures are above freezing. So that snowflake melts and it falls most of the way down as rain as it falls through that warm layer of air. However, you think you're looking around outside and you say, those meteorologists at Fox 6 said there was going to be freezing rain, because you just see rain around. But here's the problem. As that rain falls, once it hits the surface, that is where temperatures are at or below freezing. And that's where that rain freezes on contact the second it hits the ground. That's why we're worried about that tonight. And we actually have a really cool view here. You may be looking at this and wondering what in the world it is. This is an atmospheric sounding from Mississippi State University over in Starkville. And what happens is meteorologists, to get data for different levels of the atmosphere, they send up weather balloons. And this is the data that that weather balloon recorded. It shows here at the surface, temperatures in Starkville are already below freezing. But as you go up in the atmosphere, notice what is beginning to happen. Temperatures are increasing rapidly just above the surface. They're going well above freezing and then eventually cooling back down the farther north you go. But that right there is that warm layer that the rain is falling through, and that is why it is melting. And so when it gets to the surface, you've got that freezing air and it freezes on contact. That is called as a warm nose, because I mean it does look like a nose, but that is that warm layer that can cause freezing rain to occur. So as we've been saying, with freezing rain, it looks like rain is falling around you, but the second it hits the surface, it freezes on contact, and that's what makes for icy roads and slick travel. And that's why we want you to avoid travel, if at all possible, through mid-morning for tomorrow. So we have some driving tips here for freezing rain. You obviously want to reduce speed, avoid sudden stops, but my driving tip would also be don't drive. Don't do it tonight. Stay at home, stay safe, cozy, and warm. Wes and I will continue to track the winter weather coming up.
All right, Lauren, thanks. Right now, as we continue to track that winter weather conditions heading towards East Alabama or Calhoun County, emergency officials say they're gearing up to be prepared for any situation.
Our East Alabama reporter Reggie Kyle joins us now with their advice.
Morgan Calhoun County officials, EMA officials telling me they want the public to take this winter advisory very seriously and prepare for the worst. With Governor Kayari declaring a state of emergency for 25 counties, including Calhoun County, EMA Director of Calhoun County Miles Chamberlain says this winter storm can bring about extreme conditions like snow, high winds, ice, and freezing rain. With the expected winter forecast for this week, he says being prepared and having a plan is essential. Check your home and keep the cold out. Gather supplies in case you need to stay home for a few days without power. Create an emergency kit for your car in case you have to leave home.
So as we've seen in the past here in Alabama, that winter weather can cause a lot of issues, and it doesn't take much to do that. So it's something we take very seriously at the EMA. Travel becomes impacted very quickly, and then if we run into other issues, if it's worse than they predict with any power outage issues, it could be very serious very quick.
Now, Chamberlain says now's the time to take advantage of the road conditions while they're dry. If you need to stock up on food or any items from the store, now's the time to do it. Reggie Kyle, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
Reggie, thanks. From Calhoun County to Coleman County, where the roads have gotten really bad, especially on I-65 between markers 310 and 318. Multiple wrecks there.
Our Tristan Rupert is live and on your side covering this, getting information from troopers and just showing us how quickly road conditions can deteriorate in this weather, Tristan.
That's right, Morgan, Jonathan. We really tried to bring everybody a glimpse of what this looks like from the interstate. We didn't want to get our vehicle on the interstate, but take a look for yourself. We're just off the 310 mile marker exit. Several 18-wheelers have stopped. There are some vehicles that are traveling with their hazards going very, very slowly through this area, but just by walking out on to the roads, you can tell it is incredibly slippery. I almost slipped once coming down the exit ramp earlier. So again, dangerous conditions out on the roadways right now. Again, the troopers tell us that between mile markers 310 and 318, they've seen several crashes. I also just got a text from Coleman Police Department. They say that there's a lot of chatter going on about I-65 perhaps even getting shut down. Of course, it's not confirmed right now. We're still working to learn information, but several entities in law enforcement actually stressing that 65 is seeing a lot of issues, backups, all due to the icy conditions. We're working to get more information. And again, this is not the only road that we've seen some trouble. We tried to get a little bit further north on 65, and 31 was incredibly slippery. Down a hill, we saw several cars actually lose control. One ended up in the bushes. So again, do not be out on the roads right now. If you can, avoid it. It is not a great time, and again, you're really only putting yourself and others out on the road in danger by driving these conditions. Again, mile marker 310 to 318, that's where we're seeing most of the issues, but we'll update you as we learn more. We're going to try and talk to perhaps some of these drivers as they pull over. We're going to try and walk down just a little bit further too to see if we can get you some better visuals of what it looks like here on the interstate. Until then, though, reporting in Coleman County, Tristan Rupert, WBRC, Fox 6 News. On your side.
All right, Tristan, be careful out there. Right now, warming stations are opening across the state, including in St. Clair County, where EMA officials are urging you to take precautions ahead of these freezing temperatures.
Make sure you're weather aware and making sure that you have two sources of alerts, either our alert or like a news station or like Fox 6 has their alert. So make sure that you have two sources of alerts. We have weather radios here if somebody needs to come by and pick up a weather radio. Monday's a holiday and the courthouse is they're normally closed, but they'll be open for warming stations.
And starting tonight, the city of Birmingham is opening a 24-hour warming station at the BJCC's East Ballroom. It opens in 10 minutes at 6 o'clock and it closes Thursday at 7 a.m. We're watching power outages for you across the state, and so far, most of us are still in the clear. No issues so far. Alabama Power says there's about 300 people affected, but that's north out of our area. We're told crews are ready for the cold in the coming days.
Also, we're on your side comes to protecting those pipes during these freezing temperatures we're all heading into tonight. One thing to do, obviously, let your faucets drip just a little bit. You often hear that advice to make sure that you're dripping them so they don't freeze, especially if they're along outside walls or exposed. Well, does it actually work? We talked to Carrie Atkins from On Time Service, who says yes, but
it depends, okay, on how cold it gets and how long it stays cold. Typically, you know, we're not going to see problems until it gets into the teens and stays that way for a day or so, you know, where it doesn't get above freezing at all.
Atkins says another easy way to protect your home and pipes is to make sure that the door to your crawl space is closed to keep that heat in, especially in the next 48 hours. And ahead of potentially dangerous road conditions, a lot of schools and colleges are closed. Birmingham Southern just telling us they're closing their campus tomorrow. We've got a partial list on the screen, but all of them are scrolling along that bottom line, and you can check for your school systems delayed or closings in our WBRC News app. Wes?
All right, Jonathan. Well, over the next couple hours, we're going to see more of this freezing rain, freezing drizzle moving into the heart of the area. Just know between now, midnight tonight, there's going to be this precipitation out there. It's going to cause some icy bridges and overpasses. That is the main concern. Not going to see enough to any snow to make a snowman tomorrow, but there's certainly going to be some icy concerns through at least mid-morning tomorrow. But notice the temperatures by midnight. I mean, we're not talking right at freezing, low 20s, even teens for those areas to the north. Ice accumulations will end up around a tenth to 2/10 of an inch of ice accumulation. Not ice storm levels, but certainly enough to cause major travel disruptions out there tonight. And then tomorrow morning, see by 3 a.m., most of this has ended across our northern areas, and by that point, it's down to 10 degrees, but already the road temperatures are below freezing, and that's where we're getting into those slippery roadways there, as Tristan reported in around Coleman, back into Marion County, accidents being reported there as well. So avoid travel late tonight through early tomorrow morning. There's a look at the forecast for I had it stopped at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but the thing is we stay below freezing all day tomorrow and through tomorrow night. So it's the deep freeze across Alabama. For some of us, we'll probably stay below freezing at least through Wednesday morning, but to the north, we could stay below freezing through Wednesday. So yeah, it's going to be quite the extensive period of frigid weather. Tomorrow night went with average lows around 10 degrees and wind chills where we see single digits could go below 0 overnight. I went as low as -10 on the wind chills for early tomorrow morning, so dangerously cold stuff. And then here's a look at the freezing rain accumulation map. This is most of this happening between now and 3 o'clock in the morning across our area. Notice the totals not as high, much lighter around Clinton, Rockford, and Alexander City. But as you know, with temperatures like this falling into the 20s and the teens, it doesn't take much moisture at all to cause problems out there. So as we've been noting, avoid travel tonight, especially where you are. You start to notice that precipitation falling. Just stay put until all this comes to an end tonight. And just note that in the morning, you step outside, even though we may not be seeing a lot of snow out there. There's going to be some black ice on the bridges, the overpasses. Check in with us right here on Good Day Alabama, because we'll have frequent traffic updates and we'll know where those trouble spots are across the area. And during the day, we'll have sunshine coming back. Just a very cold day, but hopefully, at least for the areas where we see the more isolated impacts to the south, I think during the day tomorrow, there's a pretty good chance that we'll see some improvements there further south. Further north, might have some lingering impacts in the early Wednesday morning, so let's watch out for that. Don't forget our First Alert weather app. We'll be posting frequent updates there. We'll have lots of updates. Also, if you have any questions or concerns, you can check in on our social media pages. We've been sharing lots of updates there as well. But as we go back to Jonathan Hardison, Jonathan, looks like the setup for tonight, mostly we're talking about freezing rain. Not a lot of snow for our area, but another big side of this, of course, the frigid air that's moving in and that hard freeze. Need to make sure we're prepared for that.
That's right, Wes. And of course, we're going to be monitoring traffic conditions as well. If you take a look at the roads, I-65, we know between mile markers 310 and 318, a virtual standstill right now. Tristan Lupert was just live for us out there, getting a live look at the updates, and says even those off ramps are slick right now in Coleman County. We know Marion County has had a lot of problems in I-22 between, say, exits 30 and the state line with Mississippi. Also a big problem area there. And that's just a couple of those areas, as you said, that have been getting precipitation throughout the day. Those roads already wet and now freezing. And that is what is heading our direction. We've got team coverage for you continuing on this First Alert Weather Day. We have teams spread out all across our viewing area to be looking at those road conditions. As those road temperatures drop, we'll have live condition updates for you tonight throughout the night, taking a look at what could be a very long and perhaps dangerous evening for folks trying to travel, Lauren.
Yeah, Jonathan, that's right. And I do want to give you an update on those current temperatures so you have an idea of how quickly this cold air is moving. So we've got teens in northwest Alabama where we've got snow on the ground in areas like Winston and Marion County. And as Jonathan was just saying, roads are impassable in Marion County. So we want everyone to go ahead and avoid travel at all costs. Even farther south where we're beginning to see temperatures slowly dropping, it's not going to take long. Over the next several hours, those roads beginning to freeze. So we're at 37 here in Birmingham right now, already dropping down to 49 in Ashland, still holding on to 52 in Alexander City, but you can just see how potent this cold front is. From Alexander City to Hamilton, we have almost a 40-degree temperature difference. So temperatures are just going to keep rapidly dropping for tonight. And we've been talking about these potential ice accumulations that we could be seeing. For a good portion of us here in central Alabama, we're talking 2/100ths of an inch, which may not seem like much. It certainly doesn't seem like much when it's rain, but when we're talking about freezing rain, if we're talking about 2/100ths of an inch, that is talking about actual ice. So let's say you have 1/4 of an inch of ice. That alone, just 1/4 inch of ice, which doesn't seem like a big deal, right? It can actually be very heavy. That can weigh power lines up to 250 pounds. And then let's say you get 1/2 inch of ice. That can weigh power lines up to 500 pounds. So it's hard to believe that that little ice could cause problems. We may not end up seeing issues with power lines, at least we hope not. If if we can keep those ice accumulations small enough. But 2/100ths of an inch of ice on a roadway, not a good plan. So we definitely want you to be staying safe tonight and possibly through mid-morning tomorrow, staying off the roads. But we'll continue to be tracking this winter storm here on WBRC Fox 6 News. We'll be right back.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got me? Do you need more?
Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Check.
Live and on your side. WBRC Fox 6 News starts with First Alert Weather.
On this First Alert Weather Day, some of the roads are bad. Some of them are only getting worse. Parts of I-65 closed tonight because of icy conditions in Coleman County. The message there, if you don't need to be on the roads, don't.
Look at that snow on the ground there. Let's go straight to our chief meteorologist, Wes Wyatt, who is tracking the conditions as the temperatures change tonight. Wes, tell us what you're seeing on that First Alert radar.
Yeah, watching here on First Alert AccuTrack radar, you can see we got the freezing rain now starting to make its way into the western part of the state. I was just seeing here, I wanted to show you, this was a scene. Let me see if I can pull this up here. This was in Jackson County earlier. This is from
wow.
David Daniel, and he shared this in Jackson County, but this is the threat that we have tonight. See how this road has that glaze of ice? That's what's going to happen around here once we get that moisture moving in tonight. You won't see a lot of snow on the ground tomorrow morning, but that's the concern. Notice how difficult it is to see that black ice there on the roadway. So be careful out there tonight as that moisture starts to move in. We're starting to see it's light precipitation. It's not heavy, but it's just enough to cause some trouble spots. You can see now as we get in a little bit closer to the radar and you actually see what's reaching the ground. You can see the radar out of Columbus picking up this light precipitation around Lamar County, Vernon, Millport, Fayette, over towards Berry. So Guin, Winfield, all these locations, I would avoid travel. Look at the road temperatures right now. We're down into the 20s, so it's dangerously cold for that ice to develop on bridges and overpasses there across West Alabama. At the moment, the temperatures, the road conditions are good in Birmingham, but over the next couple of hours as the temperature continues to fall, we'll see those road conditions deteriorate. Same for Tuscaloosa and West Alabama. There's a look at 8 o'clock tonight, and you see that axis of frozen precipitation. It's a slow go. It just slowly works its way south. We'll see these waves of showers and light freezing rain and drizzle moving southwest to northeast through midnight, and then this will drop down into the southern part of the area. You see around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Look at these temperatures. 6 a.m., 10 in Coleman, 10 in Hamilton, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, back to Anniston tomorrow by 2 o'clock. We're still below freezing, even to the south. Alexander City, Clanton, Rockford, it's the hard freeze. Utah, Aliceville in the low 20s tomorrow. You may be thinking, well, how are the road conditions going to improve if we're going to stay below freezing all day tomorrow? Well, once you get a little bit of sunshine, that's going to help out tomorrow, help to warm those road surfaces a bit. And then, of course, we'll have the breezy conditions helping to evaporate the moisture. A lot of different things will help us out there by mid to late morning. But to the north, where we've had heavier accumulations, those problems are going to exist well into Wednesday morning, most likely. You can see by 7 o'clock tomorrow night, still showing 13, Hamilton, Coleman. So this is pipe bursting type cold that's moving in here tonight. And I'm going to tell you something, late week, Saturday, we do have another first alert weather day for the possibility of temperatures staying below freezing all day Saturday. We're going to have some more sub-freezing air making its way into the state. But the icing potential right now for most of us looks like less than a quarter inch. Typically when you get over a quarter inch, half inch, that's when you start worrying about the weight of the ice and that ice storm criteria. At this stage, the main concern are the bridges and the overpasses with this light glaze that we're seeing. So it is, again, a first alert weather day tonight and tomorrow, not only for the freezing rain threat, but also the frigid air and that hard freeze that we have across the area. But we're going to check back in on the 7-day forecast coming up right now. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan standing by with updates on the road conditions.
Yeah, Wes, you know, those road conditions are continuing to deteriorate, and we've been so focused on the ice and the impacts from that. But I do want to draw your attention to the fact that it's just getting plain cold outside. So we've got this Arctic front coming in, right? With that Arctic front, we're going to be seeing these blustery northwest winds. And you'll notice that reflected in the temperature forecast. And not just the temperature forecast, the wind chill forecast. So you can see the temperatures here in blue. We're going to be dropping to freezing here over the next couple of hours. But as those winds begin to pick up, as that Arctic air begins to descend across Alabama, look what's happening with the wind chills. By 9 o'clock, it's going to feel like 25 degrees outside. By after midnight, we're talking it feeling like the teens outside. So even if you don't hit the teens tonight, it will feel like the teens tomorrow morning. How about it feeling like 10 degrees outside? All the more reason tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. that you don't want to walk outside if you can help it. So we have a hard freeze warning in effect, and that does include all of our area. Even if you're in Coleman, make sure you're making those cold weather preps. You're run by the National Weather Service out of Huntsville, but for all of us, whether you're run by Huntsville or the Birmingham National Weather Service, you need to make those cold weather preps. This is from 8 p.m. tonight till 10 a.m. Wednesday. It's only Monday, so we got a little less than 48 hours of this. The 4 Ps are going to be essential. Wes and I will continue to be tracking any freezing rain in the area and weather every 6-ish minutes.
Well, here's how serious it is. Governor Kay Ivey has declared a state of emergency for 25 counties across our state. This includes Coleman County, Calhoun County, Pickens County, St. Clair, Jefferson, and Tuscaloosa counties as well. The governor saying, quote, "We are anticipating unusually cold temperatures in Alabama this week, so I am urging everyone to be prepared, to take caution traveling, and stay weather aware."
Our friends in North Alabama seen some sleet, snow, and freezing rain. The winter storm warning in effect for all of North Alabama. It was pretty in Florence today, as you see here. The snow beautiful, but the wintry mix caused some issues for their roads even as early as this morning. Several roads and bridges closed in Colbert and Jackson counties. This video from Harvest in Madison County. Several roads too icy to drive, some impassable as they opened the warming centers there even earlier today.
Well, breaking tonight, Alabama state troopers already working a number of crashes tonight in Coleman County. At least one crash has closed part of I-65.
Our Tristan Rupert is right there next to I-65 in Coleman County around exit 310. That stretch from Vinemont to Lacone is where a lot of this action, or not so much action, has been taking place. Tristan.
That's right, Jonathan. And I've spoken with Trooper Brandon Bailey just in the last 5 minutes. He says right now Coleman is the area that has the most of their focus. This is their problem area, he called it. and it's easy to see why. Take a look behind me. I'm going to try and get out of the way. I got to do it slowly, though. It's very icy, even on the sides of the road. Several 18-wheelers, mid-sized sedans, even four-wheel drive trucks have stopped here just shy of exit 310. And again, the next 8 miles after this aren't much better. That's where we've been told by troopers a majority of these accidents are occurring due to the slippery conditions. And let me just showcase how, because it's hard to really describe just how slippery it is, but if you look at me, I'm going to step right on the apron here. I mean, I'm not trying to move, guys, but as you can tell, it doesn't take much. It's very slippery. It's very greased almost. It's hard to imagine how much control of a vehicle you'd have if a car or a big truck was trying to drive on this. And just take a look for yourself. It's easy, or one thing for me to be standing on it, but several of these vehicles I found out the hard way just on the other side of the road. These are two vehicles that actually we witnessed slip a little bit just in the last 15 to 20 minutes. We have another vehicle that slipped further down in the ditch. It's going to be harder to see. I'm going to try and point it out to you. Cruz, can you see if you can zoom in on that? They just turned on their lights, buddy. You see them over there? Yeah, again, it's a very dangerous right now. Again, I'm hearing from troopers, they are asking that you avoid travel if at all possible. Now, we still have some cars driving by. We have another one, an 18-wheeler going probably about 10 to 12 miles an hour. It looks like they're going to be edging towards the exit. They've at least got their hazards on. Again, it's dangerous conditions out here, and really 65 is not the only one we're seeing. Like y'all said, Vinemont 31 North also iced over with some crashes. We'll update you with the latest from Coleman County over the next few hours. Until then, reporting in Coleman, Tristan Rupert, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
All right, Tristan, thanks so much. We're also monitoring conditions for you in Walker County, but the Sheriff's Office just announced their bridges in Nauvoo and Dogtown are ice covered. They say extreme caution needs to be the watchword there.
Our live TV coverage continues now with Anjanae Robinson. Anjanae, give us an update. What are you seeing there?
Well, Jonathan, Sarah, I will say that it's definitely gotten a lot chillier out here, especially as the sun has gone down today. I've actually moved inside, not only for a little bit of some warmth, but also just to talk to a little bit of some folks here in Jasper. About, there's nothing worse than being stuck in the house without food. So we've seen a lot of people come in and out of this grocery store here in Jasper, picking up items that they need. The general manager, Terry Merchant, tells me typically when it comes to severe weather, a lot of people stock up on bread and milk. And in addition to that, many will purchase soups and canned goods. I caught up with a local and her family as they were finishing up their grocery run. Kayla Jones tells me she came out today to stock up on a few items because you never really know what's going to happen.
Milk, definitely. Bread, of course, like everybody else. I mean, that's basically it. Just stuff we can throw on a grill if, power goes out or something.
Definitely just need some items to throw on the grill just in case something happens. Now, as it gets darker here in Jasper, some folks are still rushing in and out of this supermarket here that we're at currently. Lots of traffic here, but it's actually slowed down just quite a bit. The general manager telling me it's not as crowded as it was earlier, so that is a good sign to show that a lot of folks are heading home, hopefully are safe in their homes and staying off the roads as it gets colder, and I'm sure a little bit icier out there as well. For now, reporting in Jasper, Ajani Robinson, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
We told you state troopers already telling us there are some roads that are impassable in our viewing area. It's what Alabama Department of Transportation workers were trying to avoid. They were pre-treating the roads and bridges. ALDOT has also crews on standby to address any potential hazards on the roads during this winter weather event. Our Lauren Linehan will be giving us a look at your roads right now.
Hey, Sarah. Yeah, we have been watching all across our area, beginning to see more accidents popping up and more road closures. This first one that we noted an hour or so ago was happening in Coleman County. So in Coleman County, that's where we have all lanes of I-65 shut down. This is about from exit 310 to 318 from ice that has developed on the roads. And you can see also popping up there towards the bottom of your screen. That's where we also have have an accident that has been reported. I think actually Chief Meteorologist Wes White has been sharing some of those pictures on social media that we've been seeing from this crash. Now, over in northwest Alabama, we've been talking about all of the road closures in Marion County. On I-22 westbound specifically, there has been a crash at exit 16 on Highway 278. And if you recall in our forecast, the Highway 278 corridor is the one we have been noting is the one in particular that we need to keep a close eye on, because that was that area in northwest Alabama where roads were going to be more prone to issues, not just freezing rain, but northwest Alabama, you have that better chance for some snow. And then we will go a little farther south. We actually have a crash. This may not necessarily be weather related yet, but just wanted to let you know that in Jefferson County, just around Vestavia Hills, we do have a report of a crash on Highway 31 southbound at Massey Road. Right now it looks like traffic is improving around this area, but if you do have to travel possibly south or north on Highway 31, I would just be mindful to keep an eye on that. And also, as we keep encouraging you, avoid travel if at all costs here as we go into the evening. So even if you look at our main traffic map, notice where we're seeing the yellows and oranges and reds pop up, where we're having the issues, mainly in our counties to the north and to the west, where we've already been seeing that frozen precipitation falling. So we'll continue to monitor this closely throughout the night. That's your First Alert traffic update.
All right, thanks a lot, Lauren. And especially, you look at that map, you see that's a lot of primary roads being impacted in areas there off to the north. Notice in our camera here, it's a live look from downtown Jasper. You see all that moisture there on the sidewalks. There's a lot of the road surfaces there are wet. All this is going to freeze over tonight with these temperatures dropping down into the 20s at this time. We're showing 29 in Fayette, 19 at Hamilton. Tuscaloosa, it's dropping. We're down to 37, getting closer to freezing in the Birmingham area, 35 degrees here in the Magic City, 45 right now in Anniston. We're still well above freezing, but that temperature will drop quickly this evening. But this is what we're watching, this axis right in here of freezing rain, and it's mixed with a little bit of sleet, and that's getting closer to Jasper. That precipitation is going to pick up again. We're seeing this across Lamar County, Fayette counties. Tuscaloosa, looks like we're starting to see some development here, maybe a little bit of sleet starting to bounce off the car tops from T-Town back towards Taylorville. Let us know on social media, Twitter. A lot of you have been sending me updates and reports here as this precipitation, we're tracking it across the area. But you look further north, again, this is really light stuff. I know in some cases it's just drizzle that's falling, but any moisture with these freezing temperatures causing these isolated travel trouble spots. And the models are telling us that this could sort of ramp up again as this gets into the I-59 corridor. Again, here's a look. You can see it's a steady flow there across right now Marion, Lamar, and Fayette counties. So still, the ice is going to continue to accumulate in those areas further north and west. But the forecast model data, this is the latest update that we have, and it still shows by 9 o'clock there's going to be a window here, several hours, where we see this freezing rain, light freezing rain and drizzle moving south. And notice the temperature at Tuscaloosa by 11 o'clock showing 27 degrees here, down to 23 in Aliceville, 26 around Birmingham, 29 Pell City, 32 by that point at Anniston. And we'll start to see the threat for freezing rain, and that's going to continue past midnight, tapering off around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning as temperatures drop into the low 20s and the teens. So avoid travel tonight as this begins where you are. We're going to talk more about the hard freeze warning that we have in effect as we continue right here on this First Alert Weather Day.
Hey, I want to make sure, mic check. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right story. My story for this one is milk and bread, even though Anjane talked about it, about
with why folks are stocking up on a number of different things, Brian.
Well, Jonathan, when word got out late last week about a winter storm coming in tonight and then tomorrow, a Piggly Wiggly here in Tuscaloosa got busy. But the good thing is that according to store manager Wayne Reed, they prepared for it and had plenty of milk and bread for customers. Reed says they didn't run out over the weekend, and they're in good shape right now. Milk and bread weren't the only items people bought.
Things like beans and chili mix, things like that, increase anytime they say that the weather's going to get cold. I think people are just mostly they've been shopping just to get their grocery shopping out of the way. So if they can't get out.
They were out of school on Friday for the severe weather, so I got some stuff to have at the house, and that's pretty much why we did that. And today we did get milk because we had been eating cereal for a little while, and they told me this morning that we ran out of milk.
And checking the aisles at that particular Piggly Wiggly on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, they have plenty of milk and bread and a whole lot of stuff such as chili or perhaps even spaghetti to stay warm over the next 2 days. In Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC Fox 6 News on your side.
That's West Alabama. Let's take you to East Alabama, where Edward County is going to be under that winter weather advisory starting tonight.
EMA leaders there in Gaston checking off their list, making sure they are prepared for whatever happens. We have more live TV coverage for you. Let's go to our East Alabama reporter, Reggie Kyle. Reggie.
Sarah, you can definitely feel the temperature dropping. Current temperature right now is 39 degrees and steady dropping. EMA officials warn just be prepared because it's going to get cold. EMA official Derek Murmert says be sure to check on your neighbor. They may be living alone. They may not have no one to check on them. Make sure that they are okay. Make sure that they have enough to make it throughout the week, if need be, that they have non-perishable items. Canned foods, blankets, flashlight, batteries, and most importantly, make sure that they have some water. He says this wintry mix headed this way should not be taken lightly, and to stay updated on weather forecasts, follow safety guidelines, cooperate with local authorities. EMA officials are on standby to address any issues that may arise during this winter.
You know, we've been pushing that information out to our stakeholders and getting everyone prepared for that. You know, the public really needs to realize that, you know, if you don't need to get out, please don't. Stay home, stay off the roads. You know, especially if this system moves in like we expect it to and the roads freeze over, you're not going to be able to see that ice on the ground.
Director Murmur said if you can, go ahead and head home. With precipitation moving into the area, you will definitely see a winter mix in the morning. That's his words, not mine. Winter mix in the morning. Reporting from Etowah County, Reggie Kyle, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
All right, Reggie, stay bundled up out there. Some frigid air making its way south across the area. And you see right now where the wintry precipitation is still impacting those north and western areas. But we're starting to see some of that light wintry mix now making its way into West Alabama. You can kind of get the picture here of how this is mostly light precipitation, but just enough that it's going to cause some icy patches out there tonight. When we look at the future road conditions, you can see right now where we have all the travel issues and the icy roads, Marion, Winston, Coleman counties. But as we go through the night, by 10 o'clock, we'll see that patchy ice threat here in Jefferson, Tuscaloosa, into Greene and Pickens counties, starting to move into parts of St. Clair County. It looks like for us here around Addison, Talladega, Shelby County, back into Bibb County by 2 o'clock in the morning, that patchy ice. Look at this, as far south as Clanton, most likely elevated surfaces, bridges, and overpasses. That's where the concerns will be there through about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then we'll see that threat coming to an end. But the temperatures stay below freezing tomorrow, so some of those problems may last well into the morning there, especially north where we have the heavier accumulations. That winter weather advisory set to expire at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning for most of our areas. Winter storm warning will expire to the north by midnight. Forecast radar showing this still mostly in the form of freezing rain. Don't see a lot of accumulating type precipitation, no snow might get some light sleet accumulations. That is certainly possible out there tonight as this moves on through. This still shows a lot of this on radar past midnight tonight through the early morning. So this is going to be a long night as far as tracking the wintry precipitation over the state. By 4 o'clock in the morning, we'll see the back edge of this pushing in around Rockford and Alexander City. And certainly at 4 a.m. you'll want to check in right here tomorrow morning because we'll have those updated road conditions and traffic alerts where we do have some of the icy roads and bridges. There'll probably be some roads that are fine, but there's going to be some trouble spots with this moisture and with all this precipitation moving through. This is not an ice storm, but it's enough to cause some significant travel disruptions. Lows in the teens tomorrow, highs only around 26 degrees. We'll have some sunshine coming back on Wednesday as well. And I think tomorrow we'll have some sunshine coming back, but 36 degrees. Areas to the north may stay below freezing. But another first alert weather day for freezing temperatures throughout Saturday coming up. More frigid air later in the week. We'll show you more on that. Don't forget we have Weather Extra where we'll continue to track this winter weather at 6:30. 30s now showing up into Shelby County. We're getting closer to freezing around Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Aliceville, I want to give you the first alert if you're watching here in Pickens County, starting to see some of that wintry precipitation, and the radar algorithm suggesting we might actually have a few sleet pellets mixed in with this. If we see any accumulations, it's going to be some light sleet. But again, this is very, very light precipitation. That's why we don't see winter storm warnings or ice storm warnings. I just want to stress, even though you look out, you might not see a lot of precipitation. My main concern is these icy bridges and overpasses that we could see in some areas by later on tonight. But we are starting to see some of that light precipitation showing up around Walker County. Still some off and on areas with freezing rain, parts of Fayette County, and some freezing rain and drizzle starting to make its way closer to the Birmingham area. So very soon we could start to see some of that light precipitation showing up here around Birmingham. So be weather alert for dangerous travel conditions. If you can't avoid travel, I certainly would not encourage that tonight unless it's absolutely essential due to the possibility of some ice-covered roadways, especially when you start to see that precipitation with these freezing temperatures. And you can see right now to the north that the temperatures are well below freezing. But let's talk about the rest of tonight and the model data, how it's handling this. Some of the models suggesting we might end up with a little bit more freezing rain than we thought, maybe more closer to 2/10 of an inch of rain. Still not an ice storm, but just adding to that concern for some of those overpasses and bridges to be frozen over tomorrow morning. There's midnight tonight. Looks like Gadsden, Pell City, Alabaster, and the impacts become more scattered the further south this goes because the precipitation starts to kind of break up. It's more scattered, and also the precipitation's even lighter, but it's a window there several hours tonight, and any moisture, when you're talking about temperatures in the teens and 20s, it's going to freeze. So that's why we're being extra cautious with this setup for tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Many times we have winter weather around here. We're always right around 32, 33 degrees, but when you get into situations like this, this is when you end up with the ice over and some of the worst travel conditions, obviously. But looking at the winter weather advisory, that's set to expire at 6 o'clock, but that does include not only our area, but way down into South Alabama. So if you're thinking, hey, I got a travel plan south in the morning, things will be fine, there still could be some impacts as far south as Montgomery down into southeast Alabama. So certainly check ahead. But we're going to talk a lot more about this and also the hard freeze warning. Wait until you see some of these forecast wind chills as we continue right here on Weather Extra.
Well, our friends in North Alabama have experienced the full gamut of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. A winter storm warning is in full effect for all of North Alabama. This was the scene in Florence today. Yeah, the snow's beautiful, but that winter mix continues to cause issues on the roads with several closures in Colbert and Jackson counties. And this is video from Harvest over in Madison County. Several roads in that area are also too icy to drive, some even impassable. Warming centers are open across North Alabama. And Governor Kay Ivey declaring a state of emergency on Sunday for 25 counties across the state as the threat for winter weather continues. The governor saying, quote, "We are anticipating unusually cold temperatures in Alabama this week, so I am urging everyone to be prepared, take caution traveling, and stay weather aware," end quote. You can find a list of the counties under a state of emergency on the WBRC News app.
From the First Alert Desk, I'm breaking news reporter Oliviana Calmes. Now, as we're monitoring all of this, social media has been a good place to see some of those updates from people, and I'm going to take you right over to Facebook where we're going to actually see Walker County Sheriff's Office. They're talking about staying off the roads, which is, of course, what we've been talking about. But multiple reports of icy roads and bridges in the north and western parts of the county. They say it'll only get worse before it gets better. And I'm going to also take you on over to the Walker County EMA's official page as well. Roads and bridges becoming slick, and it's only going to get worse overnight. They say please only be out if it's an emergency situation. And I know it's hard to keep up with all these social media posts, so make sure you're sticking with us on the WBRC app and, of course, our website as well.
All right, and there are several warming station announcements. The BJCC East Ballroom will be open from 6 p.m. until 7 a.m. Thursday, January the 15th, starting today and through the next couple of days. A warming station there for folks in the Birmingham area with these sub-freezing temperatures moving in, and we'll continue to pass along those updates.
And we now check back in across central Alabama with how winter weather is impacting your area. Our Tristan Rupert joins us live now with the latest. Tristan, how's it going outside? Are you staying warm?
No, I'm not warm. It's not pleasant. It is miserable. I don't know why people are out on the roads, to be honest. It's very dangerous. I've been speaking with the troopers for the better part of the last 2 hours. They tell me that in Coleman County, that's the biggest problem area right now. That's where their focus is. The worst stretch is I-65, mile marker 310 to 318. They say that's where we've seen the most amount of accidents. Again, most of them caused by the slippery conditions on the roadway, the ice. Let me show you just how bad it is. I'm gonna try and quickly walk on the side, this exit ramp right here. It's not bad, but you can tell, right, see right there, that one step. Just, I mean, and I'm not a large individual, but it's slippery. So I could only imagine what some of these cars without four-wheel drive are dealing with. Take a look for yourself. Some 18-wheelers pulling over. They want no part of driving on these roadway conditions right now. It seems like this vehicle's from Indiana, and while they're familiar with these conditions, it's that dangerous out here at this very moment. As far as what we're seeing from the sky in regards to precipitation, wintry mixes, I do not have a meteorology degree. What I can tell you is over the last few minutes, it's gotten a little bit heavier. Take a look at my jacket. You can see that's where we've got some kind of specks. I don't know what to define this as. I wish I could tell you. All I'm saying is this is what it looks like right now, and if you need a description word for it, it's absolutely miserable. So again, stay inside, stay warm, stay safe, don't go out on the roads right now. That's what they're asking. Reporting in Coleman County, Tristan Rupert, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
Well, now is also a good time to make sure you have an emergency kit in your car. That includes items like a phone charger, water, snacks, an ice scraper, warm clothes, and a blanket. And a bag of kitty litter can help you get moving if your tires are spinning on ice. But you should try to avoid travel if possible, and also make sure your gas tank is filled up to the top. And some important items to consider if you do encounter an emergency situation with the kind of cold that we have moving in here. We're going to be looking at temperatures dropping down into the freezing range tonight and staying there through tomorrow. So in 30 seconds, we're going to continue to track the system as it moves through, checking in on areas that have been impacted already and what to expect for the rest of tonight. We'll be right back. Drizzle in the Manchester area there in Walker County. So those precipitation amounts are staying very, very light, but that glaze is something we got to be alert for overnight tonight. We'll check back in with the 7-day forecast coming up.
Thanks, Wes. Now we're checking in on areas that have been impacted by the winter weather. Our Anjanae Robinson joins us now live from Walker County. Anjanae, how's the situation there?
Well, Lauren, I can agree with Tristan. It's very cold out here in Walker County as well. I came back outside because the weather conditions have started to change a little bit here. We're starting to get a little bit more rain, something we didn't get a lot of earlier today, but I'm sure we'll get more of as it starts to get later into the evening. Now, about half an hour ago, the Walker County Sheriff's Office sent out a push alert on icy conditions. They say that there have been multiple reports of icing on bridges in Nauvoo and Dogtown. They say drivers should use extreme caution while traveling in those areas, but if you can, try not to travel at all during this time. The county 911 director telling me a little bit earlier that here in Walker County, especially on those back roads, that those drivers should drive slow and use caution in those areas, especially for that potential threat of black ice and icy conditions. Now, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how cold it actually is here in Walker County. I've got this surface temperature device here, and I'm going to test out and see how cold it actually is. It's telling me that we're about 25, it's about 25 degrees Fahrenheit right now, so that gives you kind of a look about what we're experiencing out here in Walker County at the moment. I'll say that it's starting to get a little bit serious out here, so if you're not inside already, make sure you're heading to a safe place and stay off of these roads for right now. Reporting in Jasper, Ajane Robinson, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
Thanks for the report, Anjane. Stay warm out there as we continue to see temperatures plummeting throughout the night. Now is the best time to make sure you're checking on the 4 Ps. That's plants, people, property, or plants, people, pets, and pipes. Meteorologist Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson explain more on how to do those safely.
Hey, let's talk about protecting your home and the pipes in your home from extreme cold to keep those pipes from bursting and causing all kinds of damage.
Yeah, it's always about precaution because we've had it before. When it gets so cold, those pipes burst, and then it's going to be a headache to get those repaired, and you get a lot of damage in your home. So one of those big prevention tips is just to drip the faucet, especially when temperatures drop, I would say, below 25 degrees, and especially a long period of time.
Well, you can just think about creeks and rivers and streams. When they're flowing, they have less of a tendency to freeze. So you just get that faucet just dripping just a little bit. It makes it a lot more difficult for your water to freeze.
Yeah,
so that's a little prevention tip there.
Yeah, and do that for all your sinks too, the bathroom, downstairs, upstairs, just to stay safe when it comes to that. So here's more tips for protecting your pipes from extreme cold. You want to remove, drain, and store those outdoor hoses. So that's a good way to prepare for extreme cold.
And if you go to some of those home centers or maybe Walmart, something like that, there's a little some insulation materials that'll clip onto your outside faucets that you can prevent those from freezing. And you can let the cold water drip from faucets there if you don't have those insulation materials. Also, you can open up your kitchen cabinets.
Yeah, because obviously at home, hopefully you have heat, it's warm. That's going to help circulate that warmer temperatures around the pipes. That's going to be helpful. And if you're not going to be home and you know there's going to be extreme cold, we recommend to leave the heat no lower than 55 degrees. I don't know if anyone's going to want to do that anyways, but just try to keep your house a little bit on the warm side, open up those cabinets, and keep that water dripping from the faucet, because the last thing you want is to have a headache of paying a lot for all that damage.
Exactly right.
Well, still ahead on First Alert Weather Extra, we continue to track the freezing rain across our area and what we could expect this weekend with, get this, another Arctic blast on the way. We'll be right back.
Well, it's a first alert weather day. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. The temperature's taking the big tumble here. Temperature wise, you can see it's a steady fall throughout the overnight. We're already seeing 20s to the north, but you kind of get the picture here. Look at the wind chills by early tomorrow morning. We're probably going to be by 6, 7 o'clock seeing single digit wind chills to the far north, negative digit wind chills as low as -10 across some areas. All right, you look at the radar, you check the first alert weather app. One thing you're going to notice, there's some wintry precipitation out there. It's not a lot, but keep in mind any moisture tonight could cause some problems with the kind of sub-freezing temperatures making their way into Alabama. So if you look out there, you don't see much accumulation, little to anything, just know the bridges and the overpasses could have ice. That's our big concern for tonight. And as this moves to the south and east, it looks like Birmingham area, Tuscaloosa, next couple of hours we'll start seeing more of this precipitation. Looks like some scattered areas of light drizzle and light freezing rain starting to happen. We've had accidents reported in some of these northern counties because of the icy roads, and I would avoid travel starting right now around places in northern Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Walker, Jefferson counties as this light precipitation moves in. Notice now some of this ice could start developing around parts of Blount County in northern Jefferson County there as we start to get that light drizzle there moving on to the east. But there's more of this, a steady stream that's going to be flowing in from the southwest between now and midnight tonight. I think after midnight, a lot of this will be pushing south to Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Anniston, but even down into the southern part of our area, down into South Alabama, could see some icy patches. As you can see, the ice concerns by 10 o'clock start to move south, and that's the point. Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, back to Springville there. You'll want to watch out by 10 o'clock for the possibility of some travel difficulties, and then you'll notice by 2 in the morning that this pushes as far south as parts of Coosa and Chilton counties, a possibility of some patchy ice on the roadways there in those locations. So a first alert for freezing rain and some travel disruptions through tomorrow morning. These impacts at least that winter weather advisory through 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, but just keep in mind if we do have bridges that ice over even further south, that those trouble spots may still be around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. We really don't see a major warm up until we get a little bit of sunshine to help out those roadways a bit for tomorrow. But forecast radar shows the core of the precipitation, that little ribbon of rain and that you see back to the northwest reaching the heart of the area along that I-59 to I-20 corridor there late tonight through midnight, and then after midnight pushing further south, and then that precip lessens. We'll see the lighter totals in areas there off to the far south later on tonight. But look at those temperatures, 11 degrees there around Coleman early tomorrow morning, just frigid air. And you look at the 7-day and check out late week, we could see some rain, maybe some frozen precipitation to the north again Thursday night, and then another surge of Arctic air, lows back in the teens, and a first alert weather day Saturday for sub-freezing temperatures throughout the entire day. So we've got some pipe bursting cold that's happening there across our area for tomorrow. Of course, with this frigid air, staying warm is also an important part of being safe during the low temperatures. And our Brian Henry joins us live now with more tips. And Brian, in Tuscaloosa right now, tell us a little bit about some of that. Are you noticing any light precipitation yet there in the Tuscaloosa area?
Well, Wes, only right now, for now, it is very cold, but so far no light precipitation, not even sleet or rain. In the meantime, veteran firefighters say now is the time to start really a good dose of common sense as we go into the nighttime hours, and especially tomorrow morning. We're all cold, we all want to be warm, but we do have to be pretty smart about it. Keep space heaters at a safe distance away from your bed or your couch, and be mindful of the extension cords that you have, because some of them may not be properly designed to provide the right power for those space heaters. One national study shows that half of home heat-related fires occurred during the months of December, January, and February. And firefighters say now is the time, right now, tonight, to start checking your smoke alarms and particularly your batteries inside those alarms. So for now, here in Tuscaloosa, it is mighty cold, but so far no rain or sleet to speak of. In Tuscaloosa, Brian Henry, WBRC Fox 6 News on your side.
Thanks, Brian. We did want to quickly check in for beyond the 7-day to let you know this right here. The temperature outlook 8 to 14 days from now. Believe it or not just us here in Alabama, but much of the U.S. finally seen above average temperatures. So I do think we're going to eventually thaw out. How high could it get? That still remains to be seen. We'll have to track those patterns in the days ahead, any trends we see. One thing I do want to note, though, is something we're also seeing 8 to 14 days from now, suggesting that from January 23rd to 29th here in central Alabama, we could be seeing above average precipitation. So we got to see if this would be a situation where the temperatures are warm enough. Could it create some storms? So we'll keep an eye on things, but we'll take a final look at Weather Extra and that winter weather threat right after the break.
Traffic, and then I'll have the weather computer on our normal weather source. Do you have traffic as a source? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, you can punch up traffic, and then we'll have. So Lauren, you can have we can have radar behind us. All right, we have traffic alerts right now on this first alert weather day. You can see several accidents on I-22, Marion County reporting in. Lauren, we've been seeing those accidents there. Avoid travel. Interstate shut down at exit 310 in Coleman because of ice, and those concerns are going to extend further south, maybe not as maybe a bit more scattered in nature, but we do have this wintry precip moving in.
Yeah, you don't want to mess around even if it ends up being a situation where it's freezing drizzle, because any slick spots on the road, our vehicles here in the South just aren't equipped to deal with that.
No, hey, look, we're going to stay on top of it. We're going to keep you well informed. We'll be right back here at the bottom of the hour, top and bottom of the hour updates until news time tonight. Stay with us for updates on WBRC Fox 6 on this First Alert Weather Day.